we'll set up on YouTube. So this is probably the first time I think we haven't like set up.
It didn't give me the option to. I'll figure that out. I'll figure that out.
I'll do it after we're done, while one of us is. Poor Nick, like he has to go use a little boy's room like in the last like half hour every time. Yeah. And you can see him.
A wee little bladder. Like a tiny wee little.
You can see him like getting antsy,
a great bladder.
And he's like you can tell while I'm
my knee's doing this.
Yeah. It's just like a dog, just and like the whole time I'm trying to my ADHD brain is still like coming up with all these things to say, but I'm like, I know we have to wrap it up because poor Nick, like his eyes are floating.
I'll get the mouse and I'll hover over the time, our little timestamp, and I'll just be like, and I'm circling,
yeah. He's like a shark in the water, just I can hear the Jaws music playing in the background.
Well, that's what it sounds like as I'm about to wet my pants. I feel like the accident's creeping up on me. I actually had an old man dream the other night where I was in a restaurant and I just started dribbling.
Right. Yeah.
In my sleep, I was dreaming that I was dribbling, and I woke up real quick and checked.
Yeah.
And fortunately, that was just a dream.
I'll tell you the
nice
worst.
And dry, but that was a.
Have you ever had the going number one in your dream?
I've done that. Yes.
Yeah. So like that's a real dangerous thing. If you see a toilet or a urinal in your dream, don't use it. Don't use it, especially after like a night of drinking, because like you might wake up to a mess, And this is why I'm sad that we don't have like dad in our lives and older men, because I think there's stuff there that they would want to tell us that doesn't get talked about. There's probably things to know that we don't know. Mm-hmm. So anyway, the wisdom of the ancients, about pee pee wisdom of the ancients. So anyways,
we got cool little graphics.
Yeah, dude, Nick.
As you can see,
I do not deserve
here.
Nick. Like really, truly, the only thing I'm good for is like writing and shooting, because like Nick has done all these cool graphics and tabs for us, so we can like segment our different topics that we talk about and everything. Very structured.
Yeah.
Nick is so organized. I know that Jamie is my marketing manager is just kicking herself.
Hey, Jamie.
Yeah. Hey, Jamie. She'll watch this, in like a week or so, or she'll hear it. She'll probably listen to it while she's multitasking. And I know she's just like, oh gosh, why couldn't I just have Nick? Nick is so organized and proactive. Jonathan doesn't even know what
and broke.
Well, yeah. I mean, so am I at this point.
But that's okay.
She's like, look, Jonathan doesn't even know what Linktree is. It just. Oh
yeah, we should share our Linktree links in the. Yeah. Anyway,
I'll tell you what, real quick. One thing that might be good, if you don't mind, pull up an extra tab.
Sure.
And pull up YouTube, and let's just double check.
Make sure we're actually
streaming
this
you
thing.
Might have to log in as me, or maybe not. I don't know. It might be. I don't know. We're gonna do a quick function test here.
Yeah, and I'll check Facebook too, because we should be. If you're on Fringe Mythology and you can see this right now, hello.
Hey, Fringe Mythology.
Hello. I'm gonna actually, if I switch over to Fringe Mythology like this, we should be able to. And my one subscriber on the Fringe Mythology YouTube page, whoever that is.
Thank you.
I love you.
Oh yeah, multi-stream with restream. Okay, cool.
Yeah, so we can retitle that.
We'll do. Yeah, I'll do that later. That's awesome.
We'll do that in post.
Yeah, we'll fix it in post, as opposed to we'll do it live. We'll do it live. It's a Bill O'Reilly meme for you.
And let's see. Let's go over here to Fringe, and let's just make sure that that's happening. That's happening.
We'll do all this.
Come on.
Preamble.
Look, there we are. Boom.
There we are. Okay.
It's live on Fringe Mythology too. Oh, awesome. Look. Oh, that's so.
Yeah, we got one person watching. Cool.
That's fantastic.
It's probably
fantastic.
It's probably us watching ourselves. That's what this will devolve into, is just us watching ourselves. So
yeah, well,
awesome.
I'm totally vain. I'm super vain. I watch.
You're a writer.
I do. I watch our episodes during the week.
Oh yeah,
I like the highlights,
dude. It's awesome.
Yeah,
it's a lot of fun. Yeah. Like it is, and it is
That's
very
lame.
like egocentric and lame. And I totally do it. And dude, like Nick is way more organized and structured than I am, so he probably finds time to do it. I, however, am not nearly as organized, so I just enjoy doing it like multiple times throughout the week, and I'll listen to it while I'm going to sleep or like while I'm, editing.
Between you and me, I think that's half of all the views.
Right.
The video gets.
Yeah. We're just like upping our own views.
I keep logging in from different accounts.
Right. Yeah.
I'm my own bot, basically. I'm my own bot.
We are our own bot farm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. Well, that's, hey, everybody's got to start somewhere. So
I love that we're doing this on the computer.
Yeah.
I love that we have a typewriter here. Yes. And I love that we have a pen here.
Mm-hmm.
In case you didn't notice, we're writers.
Right.
We are authors.
Yes.
It was this or Ascot's. So
right, I'm fresh
we decided.
Out of
Right.
I'm all out of Ascot's. I
have an Ascot, but my Ascot's too big. I got a big Ascot.
Yeah, he's got a fat Ascot. Yeah, he's got that. Yeah,
and a pie, Ascot and a pipe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and the robe.
Mm-hmm.
I am Jonathan.
I'm Nick,
and we are the Gosslings. So if you're tuning into this after 6.5 minutes of aimless rambling, then we are a couple of independent fledgling authors, I guess, who over the past couple of years have published a number of books on Amazon. Mm-hmm. And I've been doing it for a long time, but only recently got published. The irony is Nick got started a couple years ago, and he actually got published before I did. Through Amazon, because he's got that entrepreneurial gene that I do not have. So we do these live streams that are just kind of fun and interactive, and also just about our experiences with writing, and we little structured,
Yeah. And he actually has the wordsmith gene, really.
Oh.
Jonathan has the wordsmith gene, and really, if we were combined into one person,
mm-hmm.
we could just kill it.
Oh yeah,
we should have a baby.
By the way, is this? Yeah.
No just a thought.
Well, it is the 21st century.
Why not?
Who knows? Are we? Since you're logged in under your name, are we live streaming this through your channel or through?
This is through Heavenly Realms.
This is through Heavenly Realms.
Yeah, I have this going through Heavenly.
Awesome.
Oh yeah, Restream is great. We just acquired this platform that allows us to stream to either of our platforms.
Yeah.
At the same time. So I'm doing it through my French mythology page right now.
Yeah.
And we are streaming this through his Heavenly Realms page.
Yeah. So if you're watching this through Heavenly Realms, check out let's see, the Travelers League on YouTube, which is Nick's channel that he does with his kids, which is super cool.
It's fun.
Or check out Fringe Mythology on you have a YouTube channel, but really your Facebook channel is where most of the traffic and stuff generate. And then if you're watching it on Fringe Mythology's Facebook, then I have the Heavenly Realms YouTube channel, and all of our books are available on Amazon. You can just look up our names, Nick Goss or Jonathan Goss.
Yep.
Find us that way.
Yep.
So I'm surprised Adam hasn't showed up yet.
I don't know.
Still waiting.
I know. What's up?
I don't know.
I'm just going to do this. Hey, Adam, preemptively.
Where you at, dog?
Where you at?
We don't actually have anybody watching yet. So
that's all right.
That's right. They'll come around eventually.
Oh, I love how it does the little check marks when it shows it's posted to each platform. That's cool.
Yeah,
that's cool.
That is pretty cool.
So when Adam shows up, or when anyone shows up, we'll be happy to chat with them.
Yeah.
And it'll be fun to go back and see if we just talk to ourselves for 2 hours. So,
who knows? It's entirely possible.
You never know. Now, everyone has an excuse.
Mm-hmm.
The time change happened.
Oh, dude, the time change.
So if in some parts of the world, it might not be the normal time.
Adam's over in England, so
we might have to wait an hour.
Yeah, he's got a 6, or he may have checked in an hour ago.
They don't do daylight savings in there, right? They don't in the UK. That's an American thing.
Is it? Is it an American thing?
I think so.
It probably is. Yeah, whatever. We don't do the metric system like children, because everything's got to be measured in like objects, feet, and we also apparently are the only ones who do daylight savings. So
yeah.
Whatever. But hey, we're still ungrateful colonials.
Absolutely.
So if you like these shirts, by the way, usakilts.com is where we got them. And they, this is like the only thing that they make that's like that.
usakilts.com.
Yeah. I think I've posted the.
I hope that works. Let me test the link here.
Yeah.
Let's see. Well, maybe I shouldn't do that.
Yeah, that'd be funny.
We'll see. But anyway, yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, we're off. Do you want to go ahead and do our toast?
Sure, let's do the toast. Yeah.
All right. Awesome.
Who started last time? I think you started last time.
Yeah, you should go.
I'll do it this time. If you have your glass, raise it with us. Take up the broken sword of your father.
And strike down the darkness. It's so yummy. It's just so smooth. You know, that is the writer's elixir. You know, it's, no one wants to go the way of the Hemingway, but like it's okay to do that dance up to a point. You know?
Sure.
I mean, have you ever written anything on the back of booze? Typewriter one-offs.
I've done,
cathartic ransom ramblings.
Not on the rear end back of booze.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I never really get inebriated or anything like that. I don't drink to excess, but there have been times when I've, thrown myself into writing something with those inhibitions removed.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So it's kind of like a cheap muse, if you will.
Yeah.
Let
me check this real quick.
Yeah.
Well, it can be. It can lower your inhibitions effectively. It can,
for sure.
It can sort of. It makes you a little bit more loosey goosey, so you can just kind of. I'm just checking the YouTube thing real quick to make sure that.
Cool.
It's actually on Heavenly Realms. It can kind of make you be a little bit more freeform, Yeah, it's there. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
It's, I don't know, it has its uses, and it's kind of fun to occasionally write something just as an experiment, to just be like, yeah, we'll try it and see where it goes. And like, dude, there was one time where when I was 18, freshman year of college at Lee, I had my wisdom teeth taken out, all four at once.
Oh gosh, yeah.
So they gave me some pain pills, which I never really like. There were maybe like a couple days where I needed them. It wasn't bad, but I did take one round of pain pills, and then I went to my creative writing class. And I
do you have that still?
I do.
Oh, you got to bring that next time.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I'll have
that would be fantastic.
So yeah, tune in next week for the opiate infused rambling of 19-year-old Jonathan.
Psychedelic musings.
It is, man.
Of collegiate Jonathan.
Yeah, the psychonaut, delvings of my dummy. Anyways, yeah, it was pretty funny.
Nice,
but
that's great.
Yeah, it's fun to have that experience every now and then, just to see.
Yeah,
just to see what your uninhibited warped brain will produce.
Yeah.
But anyways,
I really feel like the time change is gonna like throw people off.
Oh yeah.
And I didn't think about it until now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So apologies.
Yeah. Yeah. In an hour.
We have been
will be tuning in.
Multiple states every cycle try to get legislation passed to do away with the whole daylight savings thing. So there's no back and forth. And it almost passed in Florida.
Really?
Almost. It was razor thin. Eventually, it's going to happen. Arizona already did it.
Really?
Arizona's weird because, like I think Arizona is kind of two things. There's the state, which follows daylight savings time, but like the Phoenix area doesn't.
Really?
Yeah. So half the year, all of the state is on the same time zone, and the other half of the year, they're in two separate time zones.
That's awesome.
It's bizarre.
Arizona seems like such. That makes sense with Arizona because it is so politically dichotomous, and especially after last year, But there's a great YouTube channel that I like, a very libertarian guy, a metalhead named Razor Fist, who has this YouTube channel called The Rageaholic, and he's super cool because he's like a big Thief fan. So Thief, the Dark Project, he does these live streams and everything, but he lives in Phoenix, or at least somewhere in Arizona, and Arizona seems like a cool version of Austin in a lot of way. I think who is it? Doug Stanhope lives in Arizona.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and
Okay.
and apparently he's like really good friends with Johnny Depp.
No kidding.
Yeah. So like, and Arizona is beautiful. So it almost seems like, I don't know. It's
It
just,
is, yeah.
It's a
I've heard.
weird repository of like cool, strange sort of people and ideologies that.
It's what New Mexico wants to be.
Yeah, no kidding. New Mexico is probably prettier. Like I would love to go back to New Mexico.
Really?
Oh my gosh, I crave a return to New Mexico. It is so beautiful there. I only got to spend 12 hours there when I was on my way out to Colorado.
Driving through, right?
Yeah,
driving
through.
Yeah.
But man, if I could do it over again, or if I could go back, I would spend a week in New Mexico. And I'm not even like a big nature buff.
Yeah.
But man, it's cool. It's as a writer, you crave those experiences. It's such a different environment than what we have here in Tennessee that man, it's fuel. It's stirring the stagnant pot. Sort of.
Yeah. Do you feel like being alone, being by yourself is required to be a writer or an artist?
For other people, like universally?
Just kind of universally. Like an element to being that introspective type person.
I think depending on what you're going to write. Yes. I think if you're going to tackle something as deep as a novel, you have to have that alone time for your troubled waters, whether you're introverted or extroverted. You have to have time for your waters to calm so that you can really plunge the depths and get deep inside of whatever material. A novel is a marathon, not a sprint. And so you have to have time to yourself to really figure things out. At least if you want it to be worthy of being a novel.
Yeah.
I think if you write short stories, if you write poetry, if you write periodicals, or anything like that, I think you can just sort of
sports columns,
right? Yeah, with their jowls, you can just breathe or breeze right on through, and just sort of like roll with life and roll with the party and and it's fine. But I think if you really want to dive deep into characters and plots and world building and stuff like that, I think you do need time alone to really sit with that muse or whatever it is and really think about that.
Yeah.
I don't know. What about you?
I think, there has to be moments of solitude. For me, there has to be moments of solitude.
Yeah, for me too.
In general. Otherwise, I can't. There's no way I can get into that totally focused flow of writing. You can't get into stream of consciousness.
Yeah.
If you're distracted. And I'm easily distracted. So I have to be really alone.
Yeah.
It has to be really quiet. I have to be totally by myself. And otherwise, it doesn't happen.
Well, that's why for you, actually, you and me both, our writing times, the overlap of our writing times between 4 and 6 a.m. Are really like the prime time because the world, there's nothing expected of you. It's not like you're neglecting dinner with the family.
Right.
No one's up, so there's not a lot of traffic and movement going on. So you just kind of,
it's true. It's
stress-free and it's quiet and there's not a lot of distraction. The world isn't up yet necessarily. And it is really important, especially if you're an introvert. Like Nick and I both are fairly introverted in a lot of ways. And so
big time.
Social interactions are great, but they drain the battery. They don't recharge the battery.
For real.
Extroverts get antsy if they're not out there, engaging in parties and going to breakfast and brunch, and
they feel like there's something wrong with them.
Yeah,
they're not engaging people all the time.
FOMO, but for us, we really have that. It's whatever the opposite of FOMO is. I think it's that flow state. You have to have calm in order for the storm of your creativity to organize and work into some sort of deep current flow,
Mm-hmm.
to focus it and harness it, because we are so easily distracted.
Yeah.
And it's that whole like resistance thing. It's like, man, you just have to like get outside of whatever it is that's tempting you. That's why typewriters are so cool.
Yeah.
Like, I did 2 typewriter one-offs today, and it just, every time I think about, man, it's like I gotta pay the $100 to get my typewriter serviced.
I want to do the same
because it's so cool. Like, you got to get out there and just.
I want to get it just totally cleaned and serviced. I want everything. Yeah, totally.
Just ship shape, pristine, and then write a whole book just on the typewriter. Because it's just, there's nothing like that.
I'm actually open to doing that.
Yeah.
Not the novel.
Really?
Yeah, I don't want to. I haven't written like an adult novel, like a full-length novel, and I haven't written anything on a typewriter. So both of those things would be a Herculean for me to take on.
Right. Yeah.
And I don't want to do them both all in one type of thing.
Yeah. That makes sense.
But I have been writing with the typewriter a lot more.
Really?
This past week, yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
because I saw that documentary I told you about.
What's the name of it?
California Typewriter.
Typewriter.
You got to watch it so we can talk about it next week.
Yeah.
It's so good.
That'll be my homework for next
It was
week.
inspiring.
Really?
I mean, I was like, I fell in love with my typewriter, and I liked my typewriter already, but I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
Even
that
more
makes
so.
sense. Oh yeah, very
more
much so.
jazzed about it. What? Give us a preview of some salient things.
Well, the idea that when you type something, you're essentially slamming ink onto paper. The words are real. They're tangible.
Yeah.
You created something that's real.
Yeah.
And when you create something that's on a hard drive, you write something, you store it on a hard drive, and you'll never go back to it.
Yeah.
You never go back to it. But like, this will never go away. This will always exist. This will always exist, and it'll always be real.
Yeah.
No matter what, unless it catches on fire.
Right.
This will always exist.
Yeah. That's right.
And it's one of my takeaways is that if I were to type something digitally, like Google Docs or whatever, or save it to
MS
the hard drive I have. Yeah. Like that, I've created something. I put it. That's the beautiful thing about publishing, is that when a book is finally printed, even if it's an ebook, it's not the same.
No, it's not.
It's not. It's still not real.
Yeah.
It's when it's just digital. It's just bytes of invisible information.
Yep.
But when it's printed out, and you're looking at words that you created that are on a physical page and tangible, it's real. You've created something.
Yeah.
You have taken something and made it more than just vision.
Yeah.
It's like this. I don't know. It's almost like, it sounds so corny, but like this godlike act of
you've created.
It's what John Mayer, the musician, actually says this, because he writes all of his songs on a typewriter.
Does he really?
He does.
Oh, that's cool.
He does. And his thought, and I don't listen to his music or anything.
Sure.
I'm not particularly crazy about him, but when he talks about his love for the typewriter, it's really inspiring. He said some good things, but one thing he said, it was real pithy. He said, it's almost like what thoughts look like.
Oh man,
what thoughts
that's
look
true.
like, And I thought that was really great.
That is true.
Really great.
Yeah.
Yeah. David McCullough, is that right? David McCullough? I can't remember.
I don't know.
He writes all of these. He's like this world-renowned historic, like, biography writer.
Cool.
The movie John Adams that came out.
Oh yeah.
Was based on his book, his biography of John Adams.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And what else? There was another one. Anyway, you'll see his name in any bookstore. I mean, he's got title after title of historic biography written. And so anyway, he was talking about it too. He's got this little shack out behind his house that he writes in on a typewriter.
That's awesome.
And he just loves the idea that it's real. The manuscripts throughout history.
Yeah.
Where you he talks about a president's speech. The great thing about the typewriter is that when you create something, it shows all the little errors. There's no going back and erasing, editing. It shows all the errors. You can see all the little corrections, and there are documents of president's speeches that have these things crossed out and notes and all this stuff. You know, it
Very
shows
human.
it shows how history is made. Like it shows the importance of mistakes.
Yep.
You know, as a part of our history, making little mistakes and keeping
and the thought processes and the humanity that's embedded in the very page.
Yeah, and that's all going away. There won't be any of that left.
Yeah.
There will be no documents for historians to try to find, to learn about the mistakes or the imperfections or the personalities of the writers and the men. You know, it's just like all that's going to disappear.
That's why there's an ultra vain like kernel in me that is like I hang on to all of the edited versions of my Heavenly Realms novels with red ink all over them.
Awesome.
So that one day, 100 years from now, when I become like H.P. Lovecraft popular very posthumously, my great grandniece or somebody is going to benefit, hey Benji, what's up,
Benji?
Man? Glad you could join us, bud. What's up, man?
Hey Benji.
Someone will be able to dig that up, and be like, look, I have here's the edit, the pre-edited, rough draft with all of his little thoughts on it.
It's gonna be worth something, man. It's gonna be worth something someday.
Like maybe like a crime lab, or like a psychology department,
maybe. Maybe.
But and that's and truth be told, like hang on to your drafts, man, because like we've been talking about it, the Stephen Pressfield thing,
Yeah.
Stephen Pressfield's got his new book out, Man at Arms, and then he's got these different like tiers of promo packages that he does, and one of them is if you buy a certain number of books, you get an autographed, authenticated page from his original 800-page draft of Gates of Fire.
Yeah.
Which I've known about for like 15, 16 years.
Oh yeah, I read it.
I used to bug Stephen Pressfield all the time with emails back when I was like really getting serious about writing.
Yeah.
And he was super kind and gracious to like actually answer me. So I've known about that. He mentioned it offhandedly one time, like, oh yeah, I got an 800. The original version was like 800 pages, but like my editor had me whittle it down, and I'm thinking, wow.
All those extra pages that
nobody's
ever seen.
Oh, I was begging him. I was like, dude, could you please, I would love to read what 800, I mean, even if it's crap, And that's a real like amateur move as far as a reader or a fan. Like, truth be told, there probably is good reason why that gets whittled down. And I had the same experience with Empyrean Falling, from 1,147 pages whittled down to 777 pages. There's a lot of material that needs to get cut. So chances are like that 800-page version of Gates of Fire probably wasn't as good as the version that's out now. And I imagine from what I know of Stephen Pressfield, he would probably tell you that is the case, because he's very humble in that he understands that writing is, even though it's a solitary process, getting a book prepared for the market a lot of times does involve a communal process, like making a movie. It is it's not just a one-man show all the time. You do, and Nick understands that with like his beta readers, and his editor and everything. But there is that aspect of like, if you're a super fan, you're like, man, this is like holy grail material to me. This is cool, and there's always going to be somebody like that out there. So if you are an aspiring writer, or if you're in the process of writing, like hang on to your edited manuscripts if you have the space for them, especially if it's in tangible form. Your
loved ones will thank you for it.
Yeah, it's cool, and it's cool to see where your book came from. Like I just recently, ironically, today I uploaded a lot of documents to Google Drive from my hard drive, because I had my hard drive crash like a year ago. And I lost a couple documents because of it. And so just as a fail-safe, I was like, okay, I got it on the jump drive. Now I'm going to upload it to Google Drive just to make sure it's stored in a cloud somewhere. And I was going through and looking at like all the different versions, that have existed of the Heavenly Realms books. Yeah. And man, with Empyrean Falling, it's like there's a lot of them.
Yeah, I know.
There's a lot of them. Like how many versions, or maybe not versions, but how many different iterations or incarnations or rounds, I guess maybe, did you go through with your books?
Well,
because you have a different process than I do.
I have a much different process. I don't go through multiple rounds.
Yeah.
I do my rough draft.
Yeah.
I don't even call it a rough draft. I call it my first draft.
First draft, yeah.
And then I go back and read through it.
Yep.
Make little edits here and there.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I do that chapter by chapter as I write. I'll write the chapter and then go back and make little corrections.
Mm-hmm.
Or I'll write the whole book and I'll go back from the beginning, just read through everything, make a couple checks here and there. That's my second draft.
Yeah.
And then I send it to the editor.
Yeah.
With the one exception, with two exceptions, actually, the Black Fox,
mm-hmm.
the book 5.
Book 5, yeah.
That I started writing into. I got like halfway through it.
Yeah.
And I hated where it was going. So I wrote a second version.
Oh, wow.
So I basically from the beginning.
Wow.
Yeah.
And was that tough?
No, not well. The first one that I scrapped, it was like pulling teeth to get,
Really?
It was like I was forcing something that just wasn't.
What was it about it that didn't work for you?
The characters wouldn't do what I wanted them to do. It's like I couldn't get them in the right places, feeling the right things. And it was, I don't know if I can't remember if I was plotting it or pantsing it. I can't remember. It was just frustrating. It's like nothing seemed to work and make sense and it wasn't consistent with the rules of the universe and the characters and what I wanted them to end up doing.
Yeah.
So I went back and structured it all. Oh, I remember what happened. It was like pulling teeth. I went to that writers conference.
Oh, the writers conference.
Yeah.
Real quick break. Hey, Adam. Adam finally showed up.
Adam's on. What's up?
Oh, it's my fault. You got engrossed into Act 3, Chapter 30. Yeah, it's a good one, isn't it?
Okay.
Yeah. I think I know that chapter. I think I know what he's talking about. But,
Okay.
What was the name of that chapter, Adam? If you don't mind reminding me, because I'm pretty sure I know what that is. But welcome either way. I'm sorry. Probably the time change screwed everything up a little bit too. Adam, for anybody who's watching, Benji or anybody else, if you're watching this, Adam is our narrator on Audible and ACX, Amazon. He does all of the. He's the voice of Heavenly Realms. He's kind of becoming the voice of the Travelers League.
Yes, he is.
Yep. He is. Oh, yeah. Avalon Falls, dude.
That's the name of the chapter. Avalon Falls.
I know that chapter. That is.
Yeah.
I think I know that chapter. Is that the one? Is that the one with Leviathan? Is that the one where? I think that's. Yeah, I think I know that one. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a cool chapter. So, anyways, we love Adam.
Yep.
Adam is very talented. He's very awesome. He takes great care of us. We are hoping that our books become successful for Adam's sake alone, if nothing else. But if you're looking to get into, it's the one. Okay, good. If you're looking to use anybody for your audiobooks, man, Adam Burrell on ACX, which if you go through Amazon's process, if you go through Audible's process, ACX is the website in the program that you'll utilize for that, and he's on there, and he's awesome. So you gotta go with him. He's English, and he does a multitude of accents, and
even Southern.
I can't wait to hear that.
Even American Southern.
I can't wait to hear that.
Yeah,
I love it. But
Good
what?
stuff.
I bet he did a Russian accent.
He does an American Southern accent 1,000 times better than I can do an English accent.
Right.
1,000 times better.
Right. Yeah. Probably better than both of us combined. That's
sure.
Awesome.
For sure.
So you went to a writers conference.
Yeah, I wrote half of book 5, and it was really just difficult and frustrating and felt flat.
Yeah.
And went to a writers conference, and there were that's where I listened to 2 different presenters talk about different story structures, and then I sat in a couple workshops that were talking about creating good characters.
Yeah.
And I was like, I got to start over. I got to start with great characters.
Man.
I got to start over, and I'm going to use the story structure. I'm going to make these characters richer and better. And that's actually the book that Adam's going to start on after he's done with, I think, Stormy Dream.
Really?
Yeah.
So, so I know probably how I would feel in that scenario. How did you feel when you realized that that's what needed to be done? What was the emotion that you had?
Well, I wasn't jazzed about starting over because, I'd written half the book, but I wrote half the book I wrote half of a book that I hated.
Oh, yeah.
So I was inspired.
Really? You're motivated.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys can hear that. That's an ice cream truck.
Yeah. This is how cool it is being.
I don't know if you can hear that or not, but that was an ice cream truck going by my house.
This is how cool it is being in like suburbia
Yeah.
in Tennessee. You will hear an ice cream truck roll through.
Yeah.
Like an old school ice cream truck. Yeah. You know, it's that 50s Americana.
Yeah.
Just, you know, everything you want, you know. But
I was excited. I was excited about it.
You weren't remorseful or mournful or drained by the daunting task of starting over.
I was happy to slit its throat.
Yeah. Right.
And start over.
Yeah.
I really was.
Just execute that thing and kick that albatross over the gunwales.
Yep.
Let that thing founder to the drink and just roll on, baby.
100%. And it also that excitement. There's the ice cream truck again. And I threw all that new knowledge that I got.
Mm-hmm.
I threw it all into book 5, and I was so excited about just knowing that fueled my inspiration at the same time for Henry Half Moon.
Oh, that's right. That was around the same time, wasn't it?
Yeah. As soon as I finished the rewrite of book 5, and sent it to the editor, I started Henry Half Moon with the same thing. So
that makes sense.
Yeah, it was great. And then this book that I just finished, I typed the end.
Yeah.
On a Travelers League story on Friday.
Did you really?
The Hoppus Chronicles.
Nice.
Yes.
All right.
Yes, and
that is a good feeling.
But I got down to the last 4 chapters of the book.
Yeah.
And hated it. Hated the ending.
Did you really?
I rewrote
the Hoppus Chronicles.
Yeah, and I rewrote the last 4 chapters.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's tough, man.
Yeah, I would have hit. I wanted to send it to Sue Friday morning. And those last 4 chapters were awful. I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And so I didn't send it to her. And that night, Friday night, while we were watching movies, I rewrote those 4 chapters.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Wow. While you're watching movies.
Yeah, and it was so much better.
Good for you. What was it about those last 4 chapters, without giving anything away?
Mm-hmm.
What was it about those last 4 chapters that weren't doing it for you?
So I wanted to be true to a story structure. I wanted there to be a dark night of the soul. I wanted the good guys to have a final conflict where they get back on their feet one last time and use the means to defeat the bad guy. I wanted them to use that. Yeah. And there needed to be the big finish.
Yeah.
What the world looks like now type of thing. That Act 3, the third act is really in just 4 chapters, and I could have given Act 3 more, but it was really condensed to just those 4 chapters, and it needed to be right, and it wasn't right the first time I wrote. I was using all the ideas, and it was following the little timeline I had written out of the story structure I'd written. Yeah. But the third act was no good. It just it needed to. It's super long. It is 25% longer than all the other books.
Wow.
And if I'm going to make someone sit through that, it needs to have a good ending. And so I made sure it was a good ending, and it's a good ending.
Is it? That's awesome.
It's a good ending. Yeah, it's great.
The catharsis of a good ending, man. I'm telling you, I don't want to say like you owe it to your readers to stick to that structure, but you don't want to disappoint anybody by having some sort of a morose, like just disappointing, flat kind of letdown of unless it's bleeding into something else, like Sturm and Drang. Sturm and Drang kind of ends a little abruptly compared to the others. If you just look at like page count, if you just look at the page numbers and how much time has been dedicated to Act 2 and Act 3, and then what happens in the climax, and then what happens afterwards. But and I wrestled with that a lot. And even I added material in when I went back to revise or edit Sturm and Drang. I realized that there was this whole thing with Leviathan and Lilith that I needed to sort of plant the seeds for in there and have some stuff happening that would sort of flesh this out a little bit more. That actually was inspired by the cover of all things. But the ending does kind of just happen a little bit. However, I feel justified in that because Sturm and Drang, even though it's the 3rd book in the series, it is a prequel to Grey Aegis.
Yeah.
You know, so it's sort of that Revenge of the Sith ending.
Yeah.
Where it's like you just have, you know, Owen Beru, like, or Owen Scott, whatever, I don't remember, standing on the, or Obi-Wan maybe, I don't know, whatever it is, they're watching the sunset holding Luke.
Yeah.
Whoever it is, right?
Right.
And it's like, man, like 10 minutes ago, like, you know, we were having like these big moments, and then it's just nothing, right?
Yeah, I'm just like how Empire Strikes Back ends.
And Empire Strikes Back, right? Yeah, it's the same kind of thing.
It's just a book that's part of the story arc.
Yeah,
you know,
and it doesn't.
Pirates of Skoogie, book 4 ends like that.
Does it really?
Yeah, it has a rather abrupt ending.
Yeah,
I'm sure Adam would corroborate with that, or is that the right word? Corroborate.
Yeah.
I'm sure he would agree with that. Let's just use layman's terms because I'm a layman. Let's be honest. Pretentious of me to use a big word like corroborate. Give me a break.
Confirm.
He would confirm that. But it has an abrupt ending because it's the first of a 2-part story arc. The Travelers League series are 2 arcs, 1 through 3 and 4 and 5.
Yeah.
You know, and that's okay. That's okay. I couldn't tell the story of book 4 and 5 in one giant book.
Yep.
You know,
and Adam, thank you for saying that, Adam. It's very kind of you. Yeah, he says he would agree with that. It does feel like a sudden finish, but it works well. Thank you. That means a lot, of course. You know, he's a friend and he's a good guy. So Adam, Adam's probably more charitable to me than I deserve, but I'll take it, Adam. I'll take it all day. I had that same thing with the last 2 books in the series. Primus Illuminati and Pandemonium Rising, same thing as you.
Mm.
One giant book split into 2.
Yeah.
Because if you combined it, it'd be a 850 page book.
Yeah, and Amazon won't let you print that.
No, you can't. Yeah, you can't print that much. Yeah, but I got to about maybe 2/3 of the way through Primus Illuminati, which was originally supposed to be the end, and realized like I don't have enough page time left to complete this story. So let's plan out a breaking point, and the breaking point ended up being like a real kind of Empire Strikes Back moment for the good guys of like, this did not go well. Like the beginning of Pandemonium Rising starts off with pretty much everybody about at their lowest point they've ever been in the whole series.
Yeah.
And it's that same thing of like books 1 through at least 4, if not 5, are all sort of one self-contained thing. And then books 6 and 7 are their own thing.
Yeah.
Nick, and I do this, but I think Nick is really good at this too. If you're interested in either the Travelers League or the Heavenly Realms series, I'm pretty sure yours is like this, where we don't ask you to be committed to the whole series. Like you can kind of, I think maybe with a couple of exceptions, you can kind of stop whenever you want and be like, no, I'm good, as a reader.
Yeah.
Like if you wanted to stop with, let's see, what's the 3rd book in your series?
Fire and Chaos.
If you wanted to stop at Fire and Chaos, and never read another Traveler's book again, do you have any sort of closure as a reader?
Yeah, totally.
That? Yeah, see, and that's a smart thing to do because it's a courtesy for your reader.
Yeah, absolutely.
You don't want to commit the reader to a 7-novel series. Like Wheel of Time is a really cool fantasy series, but it was really bad about that.
Yeah.
And each book is like 800 pages.
Yeah,
900 pages.
Yeah.
And there are like 15 of them. And it's like if you want the story, you have to keep reading. You're pot committed to this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Adam says same with yours, Nick, but as the next book is a continuation, so it makes See, Adam gets it. It's crazy. Like I was thinking about it as Adam finished Act 2 and submitted it over the weekend, I think Friday. So I was listening to it this past weekend whenever I got a chance, and I'm just thinking about like Adam's insight that he provided as far as like my characters go. With like Michael and Nuriel and Adam. I think Adam's a writer, and I don't know if he's just never talked about it.
We know he's a writer. He wrote a one-off.
He wrote a one-off in the
it was fantastic.
That's amazing. But Adam has this great insight into my characters that even I did not have.
That's awesome.
Like listening to Adam talk about, how like the approach that the accent he gave Michael is sort of like a British royal accent, and then I think about listening to the royals speak. I'm like, yeah, it's perfect.
He did the same thing with Toby.
Did he really?
In my books, yeah.
Well, and with like Heavenly Realms, it makes perfect sense because like the structure of the angels in the Eastern Kingdom is set up like England, like the British Empire, where there is a royal family, which is the archangels, and they are the princes of heaven, and then there's the Lord, who God, who is like the king, and then there's the Council of Elders, which is like Parliament, like the ruling judicial, or legislative body, and these are two almost competing sort of hierarchical structures, and he picked up on that, and he realized that somewhere along the way, and basically made Michael sound like, Prince
That's cool.
Harry or something.
Yeah.
Like it was so cool.
Yeah.
Like, he gets it.
Well, I told him, you talk about insight into characters. As I was writing the Hoppus Chronicles, there were several scenes where I was writing dialogue between, very colorful characters.
Yeah.
And as I'm writing the dialogue, I'm hearing Adam's voice in my head, reading
Right.
it. I hear him reading what I'm writing as I'm writing it in different accents and stuff. And I'm just like, this is great. He's in my head. It informs me, like, I think I need to, I try to write the accent in a way.
Yeah. Yep.
That I hear him saying.
I did the same thing with Althaziel.
Yep. And dang, I wish I'd been doing that from
oh my gosh,
book one. It would have been so great.
No kidding.
So great.
Well, and it's cool too because, when you listen to your book in audiobook format, it is an interpretation of your work. And I had to, like, I wrestled in the beginning with like this massive narcissistic ego thing of like, I had to sort of get over that, like, how Adam interpreted it was not how it sounded in my head. And at first I was like, it was like a real learning experience for me. Like, my ego totally got in the way because Adam's reading is great.
Yeah.
But in my head, I'm like, no, he sounds like this and he sounds like this and he sounds like this. And then I suddenly like had this epiphany where it's like, dude, I have to get over myself.
Yeah. And
you have to say to yourself as a writer, because there's nothing wrong with what Adam was doing. It's just, it wasn't what I had in my head. And it's like, well, this isn't Babylon 5. He's not a telepath.
Right.
It's not his job to be a telepath. And if you as a writer, if you want it to sound a certain way, you have to make a decision for yourself. Am I going to badger my narrator into doing every little thing exactly how I want it to be? Or are you going to like let your narrator, trust your narrator to do something for you that's going to be different, and maybe it's better, and then you realize, like, if I wanted this to sound like exactly what it was in my head, I just need to narrate it.
Yep.
I just need to stop bothering other people.
Yep.
And just George Lucas it, auteur it, and just do it in my own head. But I'm not capable of doing that. I'm not competent. I have no audio, video, or editing sort of experience. So that's not feasible,
No.
And if you let go and let God, then people like Adam will come in with accents. Yeah. And with, these, I mean, like, I was thinking about it this morning as I was editing Wayfarers about like the Brian Blessed thing, of how genius that is, because like when I think about Brian Blessed, especially in Flash Gordon, I'm like, that really is a lot like Melfax. Like Melfax was always calmer and quieter in my head because I based him off of real people I knew. Yeah. But even like his physique and the fact that like he carries a giant war mace. Yeah. And so does Brian Blessed in Flash Gordon. It's like Adam's a genius. Yeah. Like he gets it. He gets my books even more so than I get him.
Well, it's just, having Adam give his interpretation and do the different accents enriches the whole story just as much as hiring a talented cover designer, an artist to make your cover instead of doing the George Lucas thing, trying to do it all yourself.
Right.
You know, if you have tons and tons of money, great, do it yourself.
Sure.
But you know, it's obvious when you go on Amazon and you see, or you get on any of the writers groups on Facebook, full of people that are doing, you know, they're brand new like us, and they're trying to do everything themselves. They're doing their own cover, writing their own story, they're doing their own editing.
And it looks like,
you know, they're reading their own audiobooks, they're doing all this stuff. Yeah, I mean, you look at the cover and you're like, ooh, yeah, why don't you just stick to the writing?
Right.
Why don't you just tell the story?
Yeah.
You know, and it's the same thing. Yeah. I mean, either read your own audiobook or let someone else, I say let someone else do it.
Yeah.
You know, because it's just going to make it better. You know, when I was like, okay, Timepiece is out. I need to get it in audiobook form. How do I do that? And everyone's like, oh no, you should read it yourself because people want to hear the author reading it. And that's true in many cases.
Right.
So I thought, okay, that's what people want. They think I can read it, so I'm going to do it. So I got this microphone. Yeah. And I got the software. Yeah. And I read and I figured out, okay, what standard does it need to be up to for Audible to like it, to accept it? Yeah. And so I read the first 2 or 3 chapters of the Timepiece, and then did all the editing and made sure it was acceptable to Audible standards, and realized that it took me longer to do that than it did to actually write those chapters. Right. It's like writing a book twice.
Yeah, writing it twice.
And I went and listened to it. I'm like, why don't I just have a professional do this for me?
So you can keep writing.
So I can keep so I can keep writing
because you're the writer. That's what you do.
And I don't do professional narration. I mean, I can try to do the accents like I hear them in my head, but like I need someone who is a professional reader. Yeah. You know,
who's consistent,
who knows how to do all this, not just how to hit record, read, and upload. It's so much deeper than that. You have to have a storyteller, someone who can voice different characters. You need a voice actor. Yeah. So I wisely decided not to do it myself. Yeah. And I think it made every one of the audiobooks have been a compliment, have enriched all of the stories. Yeah. You know, I'm not going to do it myself. I'm not going to do my own cover. I think that's slitting your own wrist.
Oh, it totally is.
To do all the stuff on your own.
It's professional seppuku. It's amateur seppuku, you know? I mean, as much as I hate
menace.
Yeah. By the way, I'm not on board with, like, I'm not saying the new movies are good because they're not. They're SJW dumpster fires, you know? But I really take umbrage with this, with this nouveau, reimagining of the prequels as being good. It's like, dude,
they're just
those
settling.
Aren't good either.
They're just like, hey, we're just going to have to settle on what we've already made very clear we don't like. We're going to settle and pretend we do like it in light of the new stuff.
Yeah, it's so forced and contrarian. And it's like, dude, 10 years ago, everybody was hating on these movies, including you. Don't pretend like you like these movies now.
Exactly right.
Just because you're mad like the rest of us are about these new movies that also suck. Yeah. Guess what? Those movies still suck. And
they do.
And it's, you know, and I'm still on board with like George Lucas taking back Star Wars or giving it to Dave Filoni, who's like a protege of his, and Jon Favreau. You know?
Totally. Oh, yeah. I mean, that guy's doing wonders with it.
He really is, you know. And even if George Lucas, I wouldn't resent George Lucas taking back property of those movies and, you know, and making new ones or making more. Like, fair enough, you know, because we gave Disney a shot. Disney tanked it, you know, for the most part. So Kathleen Kennedy tanked it. So, like, let's give it back and see what but let's not pretend like the prequels were good.
Yeah.
I mean, they probably are like a little
intellectual honesty, people.
Yeah, just
have a little bit of, you know, just have some integrity.
Yeah, have some integrity.
As a Star Wars fan.
Yeah.
That's all we're asking.
Yeah. And you know, and there are some things about the prequels that we perhaps didn't give them credit for. Like, I could see that. Fair enough. But I think for the most part, like, it just, let's not pretend like these are really better than they were, because they weren't. And I mean,
they weren't.
I remember leaving the theater, you know, when episode 2, and I understand there's a whole
Jar Jar Binks.
Yeah.
Mic drop. I win.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's over.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The traitor of the Republic.
You know, computer animating soldiers that.
Dude, that's so weird.
You don't. Why? Why?
That is so weird.
Why?
I don't know. I think it was probably NSA funded deep fake research, because dude, there was no one in a clone trooper armor outfit.
No one
on set. All of that was CGI,
Ugh.
and a lot of it looked really good, but not CGI.
But not real.
Yeah, thank you, Adam. Yeah,
I will remember not to use Jar. Yes, please don't.
I almost
don't voice any of my characters like Jar Jar Binks.
I almost want to think of a character now that I could tell Adam to like go full Jar Jar on. Like who's a character in? You know what? I should have had you do that for Azazel, because he doesn't have a lot of lines, and Azazel is based off of this like sleazebag that was a friend of one of my friends when I was like 19. And it would have been really funny. Yeah, that's what That's what Adam needs. Adam needs like outtakes. Adam, you need like an outtake file, because I bet you where he just like goes off the rails.
Yeah,
just anything funny, anything stupid.
Speaking of audiobooks.
Yeah.
Speaking of audiobooks, I am reading.
Oh yeah, I see it over there.
I am reading. This is not an audio. This is the actual hardcover. This is Matthew McConaughey's book, Green Lights.
Yeah.
Basically his autobiography, memoir stuff. Excellent book. Yeah. Halfway through it, he's got an amazing story. I was going to buy the audiobook. The first thing I checked for was, did the author read it himself? And I think for an autobiography, the author should. Well, for Matthew McConaughey. And especially his voice. And sure enough, yes, he does his own audiobook. That makes sense. And I was going to buy it, but it's exclusive. So you have to have an Audible subscription to be able to download it. Oh, okay. So I couldn't buy it. The only way I could access it was to sign up for Audible. Yeah. So I'm like, screw that. I'm going to get the book. So I went to get the paperback. Yeah. And it was like, they priced the paperbacks in the stratosphere so that you would buy the hardcover. Really? Yeah, the hardcover was like $20. No, 17, 15, 16, 17 bucks. Yeah, it's awesome. It's check it out. Did it have a dust jacket? It did, but I took it off. I didn't like the dust jacket. I don't like dust jackets either. See, I love this. I love when designs are actually true. Goslings don't like dust jacket. You won't find a single dust jacket up there on my shelf. Dude, and the only thing that a dust jacket is good for, I would show you, but Nick doesn't have any on his bookshelf. But the only thing that dust jackets are good for are bookmarks. You can use the flap as a bookmark somewhere in the book. Yeah. But even that is just like, it gets ragged around the edges. Yeah. It gets in the way. It flops over. Look at the cut. Look at this. Look what they did. Why would you want to cover that? It's awesome. That is really cool. It's got it like it's got a, just keep living, and his signature on the back. This is like, it feels like faux leather, It does have a cool feel to it. There are so many, and it's textured. I'm always surprised when I rip the dust jacket off of a hardcover book, how beautiful the book is. The actual book. I was looking to see if you had. I'll tell you like what the ideal is. Yeah. We'll grab something off the shelf. Grab any hardcover up there. Let's see. Let me see if I can find like exactly. Here we go. In keeping with last week's thing. Yeah. So like, if I could have any book format, this is that size, and in like a 4x6. Is that like? Is it a cloth? It's not quite cloth, is it? Yeah, it's. It feels kind of like it. It's very soft. This is first of all, this is Theodore Roosevelt the Citizen by Jacob Riis, who was one of his closest friends, and this was written during his presidency. Yeah, and then it's got signatures 1922, so it's really old. This is I got it in the antique store. No, it's just an antique store. An antique store, dude. Antique stores printed in 1904, right there, 1904. It's a beautiful book, but yeah, it's almost like a cloth. Yeah. It's like a cover that you can feel the fibers on the cover, and it's in excellent shape. And I've read it. I've actually read this book. See, that is awesome. Fan. If you could have any, it smells great. Yeah, it's got that moldy pulp and ink smell to it, and see, like if I could have any format, it would be this hardback cloth with some texture on it, and no dust jacket. Yeah. A hardback book with no dust jacket is basically the typewriter of books. It is, yeah, and it feels like that's how cool it is. It's gonna last. You just feel like it's gonna last forever, and you have something of quality. Yeah, it's just something that's. It does. It has this archaic
sort of it has an antique feel to it, and that's really cool.
I want to get a book in hardcover so bad.
Yeah.
So bad. Maybe someday.
I know, right?
But Matthew McConaughey's book's actually really good. I'm enjoying it. Really, really good. He has an interesting background.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool. Well, and that's why I'm looking forward to that Taurus Necros version of Heavenly Realms that we have coming out, because that will be in hardback, and we have a custom cover for that, so that looks pretty cool. And I haven't seen it. I haven't, because it hasn't been printed yet.
Yep.
But like the guy who did the cover like painted it, and like by hand, like actual painted it, you know. And that's the thing about a cover too that's really neat is and that's on pre-order right now on taurusnecros.com. So if you're interested in a hardcover version with like a custom cover that's different than the Amazon cover, it's pretty cool. So you can go check it out. Yeah, I don't know what.
Let's see here.
Say to check the.
Yeah, I'm gonna check it.
Instagram
I'm gonna check it here real quick.
But really, like, writing is such a solitary experience, but once you get, it's like you don't want to betray your muse and invite a bunch of people in to help write your book for you, but you do want to.
He sent me a voice file.
Oh, did he?
Adam.
Okay, so Adam, you got to.
I want to play this into the microphone. Can I do that?
Yeah, Adam, you're gonna have to let us know if that needs to be reserved for later.
Should this be private, or can I share this right now?
It'd be funny if it's just like him. I bet it's him doing a Jar Jar.
Oh, I hope so. Oh my gosh, I hope so.
Well, that's the big thing about. I'll do some filler while we wait for Adam to respond. I had the same experience with my cover artist, and it's a shame that my cover artist kind of went sour on me and ghosted me and vanished. But truly, like, letting my cover artist sort of spread his creative wings and submitting some control to somebody else, just like with Adam, you really do like invite other people into this communal creative process.
Yeah.
And it humbles you, because you realize that if you had tight Grand Moff Tarkin control over all of this, all these little star systems of creativity would just slip through your fingers, you know?
Yeah.
But if you let other people in on the experience, maybe it'll be good, maybe it won't. I've paid for some crappy covers.
Yeah.
I've paid for some crappy covers that I have released, you know? But I've let people kind of do their thing and work their magic, and it does at least half the time. It's worth it.
Yeah.
Because what they bring to the table is better than anything you could have come up with.
Production studios and publishers would really appreciate what you just said. Yeah. Because there are a lot of artists, writers and otherwise, that really, have a hard time doing that. Yeah. And I mean, I'm not going to act like I'm anything special, because I'm brand new to all this. But from the very beginning, I was like, I don't want to be that guy that creates something and is so in love with himself and his work that he wouldn't let anyone do anything with it if it required anything to change. Right. I'm not going to be that guy. Right. Because if this can go somewhere and it requires other people to throw in their artistic expression to get it as far down the path as possible, dude, I'm in. Right. I'm 40. I don't have time to be picky. Right. Let's make it better, and let's do it. So that's really cool. I'm glad you said that. I'm going to play this from Adam. He said, go ahead and play it. All right. Okay. Let me make sure this is turned up. Okay.
I can't wait.
Here we go. Ready?
Ready.
I'm going to put this right here.
Dr. Binks! Mita has a little bit of accident.
I gotta do it one more time.
Yeah, do it one more time.
Dr. Binks! Mita has a little bit of accident.
Oh, Adam, that's
yay,
genius.
Adam, thank you.
That's hilarious.
Thank you so much.
Well, and another thing too, like I was thinking about, because I was looking at the pre-order page for on Taurus Necros for the special edition of Empyrean Falling, and it is like I interacted with the cover artist about that to sort of make it into something, but it doesn't look anything like the Empyrean Falling cover that currently is available on Amazon.
Okay.
It's very different.
Okay.
Very different. You know, and I had that same moment there that I had with Adam originally, where it was like, this is not what was in my head. I don't like this.
Mm-hmm.
And then you had to stop and say, like, well, you know what? What do I know? What do I know about what people like?
Yeah.
You know, what do I like? One thing that Adam is really good at, and we talk about this a lot.
That's a good point.
Is because
what do I know about
what do I
other
know
people
about
like?
marketing? What do I know about like what people like? What do I know about what looks cool? What draws readers in?
I
What's
don't know
appealing?
What looks cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know any of. I know how to write, barely, arguably, debatable.
This is wisdom, folks. You're listening to wisdom.
And so,
this is awesome.
But I mean, humility. You have to have humility as a writer. Like, I encountered a lot of problems with editors, and unfortunately, like, I don't really have a good editor anymore because it was really hard for me to find an editor who would just like find the things that are wrong without filling it with a bunch of stuff that didn't need to be changed. I had that happen like 3 times.
Yeah.
Where it's like, man, I just can't find an editor who doesn't understand the work enough to not change things that don't need to be changed. Mm-hmm. There are some things that they would recommend opinion-wise that were really good, you know, and you get a little defensive, you know, it's natural to feel a little instinctively protective and defensive and be like, no, how dare you insult me and tell me I'm bad and wrong and awful for wanting to change this to this, you know, but there's a difference between that and someone not understanding that anytime I mention God, like he or his, that needs to be capitalized.
Yeah.
You know, and it's
it needs to be capitalized.
And
if that's what you want, that's what it needs to be.
And there's a difference between those two mentalities and approaches that it takes time to find the right editor. And especially in this day and age. But, you know, with like looking at, you know, the cover for the special edition gave me the same feeling that Adam originally gave me with the audiobook, which was this narcissistic dissatisfaction because it wasn't what existed up here. But then you really do as a writer have to realize, like, you're not a marketing manager. You're not a marketing manager. You're not a graphic designer. Mm-hmm. You know, so you design or you approve of things that you like. Mm-hmm. But you're one person. And maybe this guy who's reading your book, you know, dude, Nuriel never had a Russian accent.
Yeah.
You know, Alfaziel never had a Scottish accent.
Yeah, let me speak to that actually real quick because I have kind of an advantage in that when I write a chapter, after dinner, I'll read it to the kids at the table.
Oh, that's cool.
And get their feedback.
Yeah,
because I'm writing for them.
But she doesn't.
You know, and they're and they're brutally honest. They either really like it or they don't.
Well, and it's for that age group.
It is for that age group. It's too long or it's too short. It was boring or it was fast paced.
Yeah.
They liked the dialogue. They understood it or they didn't. You know, they tell me these things.
Yeah.
And then when I get something like the cover.
Yeah.
The first person I always show it to is Rayana, my wife.
Oh yeah.
You know, because that's the buyer.
Yeah.
She represents
the homeschool mom.
The mom is the one, but yes, they're the ones buying it. They're the ones with the money.
That's so important. Yeah.
You know? And so I get her feedback and she's I have like 3 people. I have buyers and readers all in my home. And because we're family, it's completely bold-faced, uninhibited feedback. Let's put it that way. So if it's bad, they will tell me.
All of a sudden, you know how Dad felt.
I do.
Anytime we listen to his music, you know.
Yes.
Yeah, just like Susie with your recording. Yeah,
yes,
exactly.
Yes.
It's the same thing, right?
You know? Yeah, and it's like I have the readers, I have the buyers, and they're giving me feedback. It's great.
Right.
So, and I mean, that's, to me, I feel like that's an advantage. Because when my wife looks at something like a cover,
it's so dangerous as a writer to exist in a vacuum.
Yes, yeah, I think you're right. I think you're
dangerous.
Right. You know, you have your own standard for what you think it should look like, sound like, and read like.
Yeah.
And
maybe you're wrong.
Yeah, I want to know that before I publish it.
Right, before you hit publish. Yeah.
If I'm expecting people to buy it and then read it and then listen to it.
Well, and your kids and your wife, they love you, they trust you, they respect you.
Yeah.
They at least love and trust you. And as all fathers wrestle with, you know. But no, they do. They respect it. And
I love it.
But you have a supportive network where you know the criticism is coming from a place of positivity.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
A place of love.
But for this is
and
this
they want
is
to retire some days.
and the, and a bonus to that. And honestly, this is a silver lining to criticism with my wife.
Yeah.
When she looks at it, she's not thinking about not just about what she likes and what she sees.
Yeah.
She's thinking about what all of her friends will see when she shares it.
Right.
She's thinking about how the bigger group of homeschool parents will, and I know that's a big part of it because she's tied to this.
Yeah.
And she's like, there have been things I've taken out of the book because I knew that it would be kind of like,
It'd be a detriment.
She would never want to like support something that had too much fart humor, for example.
Right.
Like that's embarrassing and
Sure.
kind of low hanging fruit for humor
Right.
for a kid's book. She's like, why did you have it in there? Take that out. Because if it goes out there to the world, to all of her friends, and they're like, yeah, it was okay. I don't know. It was, I don't like fart jokes. I mean, I want to spare her from that.
Right.
I want them to go, oh, I got it for my kid. He read it. It was wonderful.
Yeah.
And she's kind of my filter for that.
Well, and
she'll tell me.
That's awesome. Well, and that's loving brutal honesty. Like
yes. Yeah.
The danger of being an independent, author who can publish on KDP, there's no Random House executive saying like, well, this isn't good for our bottom line.
Yeah.
There's no marketing person, unless you reach out and hire one, who's saying like, well, this doesn't test well with this demographic, which is your target audience.
Yeah.
There's no agent saying like, well, if you include that chapter in the book, then I don't know how we're going to get you in churches. Mm-hmm. There's no one like that. There's no support structure or network. Yeah. It's just you.
Yeah. You are the publishing company.
You are everything. Yeah. And so so it's so dangerous as an independent author to reach out there and to not have, to just live in this vacuum where it's just a pure vanity project at that point, which is kind of what independent publishing has always been. So like one of the key things as a writer is to like trust other people, to not think that even though the buck stops with you, that you're not the end all be all, and if you disagree with somebody on something, or if you're perhaps initially discontent with something, man, play the long game and just try it. And, there's a chance that, like this different cover, on this special edition, for Taurus Necros of Empyrean Falling, there's a chance that even though that's not like, it's not what I like compared to the original, it's still good, but it's just not what I'm drawn to as much. Yeah. I'm like, but you know what? What do I know? Like, so many people might like that more. And it's in hardback, which means that can go in a library. Yeah. That can go into some place where my, goofy little, Amazon books cannot tread. Yeah. Or like, when Adam gives Muriel an accent, a Russian accent, or he gives, Michael a royal accent. I mean, Michael in my head is Oded Fair, who was the Magi warrior guy from The Mummy, the Arab guy with the tattoos. Oh, yeah. And the long hair. Mm-hmm. Ironically, an Israeli, which is funny, playing an Egyptian, Interesting. But like that's who Michael sounds like and acts like in my head. But it's like Adam does this other thing where he kind of feels like not Harry, but who's the other William. It kind of seems like a warrior Prince William. Okay. Kind of. Okay. And it's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Cool. Like he knows my stuff better. It's just like having a good editor. It's like he knows my stuff better than I do. Get out of my head, Adam. How dare you? Get out of my head. You and your amazing voice. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I have a confession to make. Okay. So to that, I haven't told, this has not been on social media ever. This is the only time I've ever. Heavenly Realms exclusive. Heavenly Realms exclusive confession. Travelers League Nick Goss exclusive, courtesy of Heavenly Realms. Let me preface, and Fringe Mythology. Let me preface my confession with this. Remember, I told you I was going to be a guest on a podcast. Oh yeah. That interview came out yesterday. Did it really? Yeah, and it's awesome. Middle Grade Ninja. It's awesome. Yeah, great Middle Grade Ninja. Yep. And the guy Rob Ken, who runs it. We spent like 2 hours talking, interviewing. It's great. It's like an hour and a half
interview. It's
That's
so
awesome.
great. All about middle grade, all about the books and all the stuff.
Cool.
So really exciting.
Yeah.
And he asked me some really, really deep. We talked about some really deep things, and I told him the story about how we came up with the timepiece. Okay, that's the most I've ever talked about how I've ever come up with. How I got into this whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't tell him what I'm about to tell you.
Oh, really? Exclusive. You're hearing it here first.
And this is one of the things my wife said. No. Okay, right from the very beginning. So in the first book,
I can see that look. Yeah, I can see that.
the main character in the first book is a boy named Worthington D. Hooper. Okay.
Yeah.
And he goes by Hoops.
Yeah.
Cute little nickname for a 10-year-old boy.
Nickname.
Hoops.
Yeah.
He's a cool kid.
Yeah.
Well,
a normal, average 10-year-old boy.
And Hoops wasn't his original name.
Uh-oh.
When I was telling the story to Christian, before my wife said, you need to make this into a book.
Yeah.
Those 2 weeks when I was making up this story,
Mm-hmm.
Hoops was not Hoops.
What was it? Are you ready, everyone?
Farts McGee.
Of course it was, because you were telling it to a 7-year-old.
And originally it wasn't going to be the Travelers League series. It was going to be The Gassy Adventures of Farts McGee. And my son still is begging me to write a series called The Gassy Adventures of Farts
Oh my
McGee.
gosh, I love it.
And
There's still a market for that.
not
There's
there
still
is
totally a market for that.
maybe a pen name.
Yeah.
Maybe a pen name series.
Have you ever? It's an ancient book. It's been out for like 20 years. But do you ever remember the kids' book, Walter the Farting Dog?
No.
It's
But I'm interested.
yeah. If you just Google Walter the Farting Dog,
All right, hold on a second here. Let's
Kids
look
book.
at let's
What's
do
funny-
this. Let's do this.
the dog Walter the dog looked like Morgana, my little black lab beagle mix dog. Just
so
this fat little black bean with these little legs, And he would like fly because he farts and he, all over the place.
Let's do this.
Yeah.
Let's do.
Oh yeah, we're
What's
getting
the-
fancy, baby. We can
Yeah.
incorporate tabs.
Here we go. Okay. What's it called?
Walter, I think it's called Walter the Farting Dog.
The Farting Dog. Let's see what
Kids
happens
book.
here. Walter the Farting. There it
There it
is.
is, baby.
Oh, there it is.
Walter the Farting Dog.
Walter the Farting Dog. I'm just going to pull this up here. I just want to look at the image. Oh, this is great. Look at this.
Doesn't it look like Morgan?
Trouble at the yard sale. Can you guys see this? Okay, hold on a second. Let me turn this on. I just did a Google image search. Here we go. Walter the Farting Dog. Do they have this on Amazon? I got to hold on.
Oh, I'm sure they do.
Let's see if they have this on Amazon.
I bought it as a joke. I bought it in Borders when I worked there in 2002. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Walter the Farting Dog. Let's see. Here we go. It's searching. Boom. There it
you
is.
go, baby.
Book 1
Yep.
of 1.
Yeah.
Walter.
Well, Yeah.
And
we'll look right underneath it. Bestseller. Liam the Leprechaun Loves to Fart. A rhyming read aloud storybook for kids about a farting leprechaun.
Oh, and Poppy the Pooting Panda. This is a whole series.
Yeah, the whole series is.
Hold on a sec. You know what we need to do? This is what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
We're gonna. Oh, and that's sponsored. Someone is like paying for advertising.
Of
Walter
course.
the Fault. Oh, there's another farting Walter.
Banned from the beach. See, this
I'm
is the
going-
kind of thing that we really bring to the table.
So you're welcome, by the way.
Yeah,
French
you're
mythology and heavenly realms. But let's do this. Let's just do this.
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna go to the paperback. Let's go to the paperback. This is a kid's book.
Mhm.
Walter the farting Dog goes on a cruise. Okay, fantastic.
God.
Let me scroll down and let's just look at the product details. Bestseller rank, 1 being the all-time bestseller, which on Amazon right now I think is still Harry Potter,
Probably,
all the way down to 1,044,797 in books.
Yeah.
It doesn't even have a category that it's ranking in.
Not that one, but I wonder if the original Walter the Farting Dog is maybe higher up on the list.
Well, let's see. Let's look at his page here. William
There you go.
Kutzwinkle.
Walter the
Walter the Farting. Let's look at this one. Okay, maybe. Man, 3,600 reviews on this.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's been around forever. It's been around for like 20 years.
Should I buy it? No, let's just look at it.
It's cute. We probably have it in the house somewhere because I bought it like 18, 17 years ago.
Walter the Farting. Let's just look at the Kindle. Let's see if it has a category in Kindle. This will be interesting. from the publisher. Man, look at all this. Oh, look at the doctor right here. This
Mhm.
is my apologies, but the doctor is looking up the dog's rear end. Doctors don't use magnifying glasses. Private investigators do. Here we go. Children's books on manners. Dude, I should have Hoppus Chronicles in that category.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the Frumps
That's right.
hate manners.
Yeah.
They hate manners.
Totally in that
Interesting.
same. Yeah.
He's actually doing really well. This is
I'm
like,
telling
these
you.
are good ranks, like 230 in,
Yeah.
that's not bad.
So yeah.
Anyway,
So
there you
see,
have it.
There's
Walter
a market for anything.
This
you
is
know?
fantastic. Anyway, thanks guys for entertaining us while we look at that. I think we're back. Okay, we're back. Yeah, Walter the farting dog. Thank you for sharing me. Yeah, but
You're
Farts
welcome.
McGee was going to be the name of the main character,
That's hilarious.
and with the timepiece, and there was going to be a lot more flatulent humor, and there wasn't. Rihanna's like, no, I'm not. No, don't do that. Please don't do that. Please, I beg you.
Vulgar
I have
embarrassment
friends.
to this.
Yeah. And I was like, all right. So we'll change it to Hoops.
That's wise.
Yeah. Christian, my son, was just like devastated that we took the character. We changed his name to Hoops.
Poor kid.
So I had to use like, family name. Like Worthington is like the apartments Mimi lives in.
Okay. Cool.
D, I can't remember what D was. It was like a middle name, family name, someone, I can't remember what it was. And then Hooper.
Yeah.
Hoops.
Yeah.
Goes by
Yeah.
Hoops. So
And Hoops is awesome.
it's a great name.
That's a really cool, and it fits perfectly.
It's kind of 80s-esque.
It is. It's
It's kind of an 80s nickname. I'm Hoops.
Yeah.
I'm Ace,
It's got the Goonies feel to it.
Goonies. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
and that is the constructive criticism, collaborative effort when you kind of remain humble and open, because I mean, how popular would the Adventures of Farts McGee, whatever, like how can you market that? I mean, you can, but truly,
Maybe under a pen name someday if I absolutely run out of anything of substance to create. I don't know. I just like, how can I use, if we're going to be logos driven about our writing, how can God use the gassy adventures of Farts McGee? That's the real question. If he can, I'll do it.
Yeah. He used far worse,
True.
Saul was a murderer. So
very true. Very true.
But let's not throw the gauntlet down for the Lord and challenge him to use, don't make God's job harder than it already is.
I'll be like, look, God, if you want me to use the gassy adventures of Farts McGee, tell my wife.
Tell my wife, right? Yeah. Pull a danger.
Speak through her, otherwise don't even bother. Don't even bother talking to
I don't
me.
know if the juice is worth the squeeze on the. But it's the same thing with Empyrean Falling. Originally, that was called, and Grey Aegis. Grey Aegis was originally just called the Grey One, and then Empyrean Falling, up until probably like 2007, up until like the 4th version of that book, was simply called Heavenly Realms: The War for the Throne. Just totally mundane, prosaic.
Yeah.
Just logical, factual, matter of fact. Didn't have any like spice. Didn't have any pizzazz to it. And so, and I don't remember exactly what changed about that. I think maybe I was reading Paradise Lost again, or I don't know. Who knows what changed about that, or where the turn happened, the prestige happened. But you can't. You don't want to be so pot committed to something that you just, there are two ways of living. There's this and there's this.
Yeah.
And if you just do this,
like
man, it's like having an ice cube in your hand.
Tight-fisted or open-handed.
Yeah. You can just squeeze all the water out of your hand, or you can, open it and let it happen. So I don't know. You gotta stay humble. Man, we're at like an hour and 24. And,
I know.
Oh gosh,
we're giving it extra time because of the time change.
Oh yeah, okay. Do you want to do any? Do you want to do topics, or do you want to do typewriter one-off?
Let's do one-offs.
Okay.
Let's get one-offs going. We got to figure out, who's going to go first here. Let's do our thing. Typewriter one-offs. There's our little graphic. Bing, 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 bing. There it is.
There it
Beautiful.
is. Yeah.
And should probably refill our glasses. We'll do that after we figure
yeah.
out who's going first.
Yeah, so every week, and if you're just tuning in or you're watching this later on, every week Nick and I write on our typewriters. We both have these Royal Quiet Deluxes. We'll write a 1-page story, just like it can just be a little anecdote or an intro or something cool that we thought of. It sort of can be like a springboard into something else, but we always kind of just do what we call typewriter one-offs. And then we compete with rock, paper, scissors for who goes first.
Yep.
And then we read them and then just sort of.
It's supposed to be only 1 page long.
Yeah, but we all violate that a little bit.
Well, he did.
I violate. Well, no,
every once in a while I do.
I brought 2. I've done it before. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, exactly. So.
I have. I don't know. I wrote a lot of stuff on the typewriter this week.
Did you?
Yeah, I was inspired. I watched that documentary, California Typewriter.
Oh yeah.
Which was just so great. I've watched it almost twice now.
Really?
All the way through, and then I'm about halfway through a second time.
You know
so
what?
good.
I want to text John to find out if he's watching or not.
Yeah.
Because if he is, John, if you're watching, tell me, because it'll determine which one of these I read.
Okay.
Let's see. Old school flip phone, baby.
Oh yeah, that's another thing.
Yeah.
Real writers have flip phones. Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
So don't even talk.
Yeah.
Don't
There's
even
only
pretend.
there's only so much trouble you can get in.
Yeah.
With a flip phone. I mean, like, what's funny is sometimes people will send me they'll send me YouTube links.
I hate that.
Or they'll
You
send
can't
me,
watch it on a flip phone.
Yeah, and I have to text them back. I'm like, hey, flip phone.
I'm like, yeah. Send this to me through Messenger.
Yeah.
You know?
I have to tell them like Facebook. Yes, Facebook or Instagram. And I feel bad sometimes because like people will like want to send me funny memes.
Yeah.
Or like links to something, and they're wanting my opinion on it, or they need some help, and I'm just like, dude.
Or they send a photo, which you can get, but it's too.
It's crappy.
Yeah.
It looks
there's no resolution.
Trash. No, there's no resolution.
Can't see it.
The screen's too dark.
Yeah.
It's like just you have my Instagram, and like I got this. How long have I had this? Like almost a year now.
Yeah, about a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, if you don't know that I have one of these after a year,
yeah, you ain't paying attention.
You ain't paying attention, baby. Like,
listen to this. Listen to this. Listen. This doesn't sound great. Listen. Hold on. Ready. Oh.
Yeah.
Game over for you.
Dude, and I'll tell you, I was on the phone with the IRS for 2 hours Friday. 2 hours trying to get some estate stuff settled, And at the end of that call, I can't tell you how good that felt.
It's like the smack of the typewriter key.
Whack, whack, whack. You don't get that with a smartphone.
No.
With a smartphone, you go,
And if you're really upset, you might miss the button.
Right. Yeah. Might accidentally like dial 911.
All right, let's see who goes first.
Okay. Yeah. Rock, paper, scissors. Right. On 3 or on shoot. Right.
Yeah. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah, go.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Oh. Nick has got this magic where like he wins just about every one.
Wait, before we do, let's just a little top off.
Yeah.
Top off.
Poor Nick is empty over there.
Yeah, I'm winning.
Uh-oh.
I'm ahead.
Yeah.
I'm ahead in the race.
Yeah. Nick wins. Nick wins again. Okay, so I did not hear from my buddy, so we will save this one for next time.
All right.
Okay. Here we go. Hail to you, champion, she greeted with that archaic accent from a face laced with scars and the hard gaze of someone who has stood against the monsters at the door for far more years than any one soul was meant to dwell upon this mortal vale. Leander grew weary of the salutation, for so often had his reputation preceded him. He had earned the honorific of his exploits. Of that there was no doubt in his mind. But heavy is the head that wears the crown, and no spine can keep upright under the strain of the mantle's burden forever. He had marched into the drums of Lorenar, purging that once holy city of its possessed priests, and liberating its citizens of the Leviathan order. The holocaust of the merciful fate's ziggurats flames radiated against his armor as he strode into the sunset, the freed urban cohorts begging him to anoint them as his color guard as he departed. But a king's ransom could not tempt him from his crusade. There were others like him who must be found. The order was not extinguished, and neither was his crusade. Only reunification would stop the Council of Archons. The diaspora of his crusader princes had to be undone before the stars fell. May the way guide you, Eventide, Leander replied, with the sacrosanct blessing of his holy sect. She smiled at him as darkness swarmed around her, enveloping them both in a cocoon of shadows. You call me by that name. How do you know I am not of the owl and moon? The witches of Lilith were purged by my brother Argo 7 years ago, Leander replied. I have no fear of your gifts. You are a heel muse, whose seraphic madrigals trace their lineage to the last of the created. He rested his forearm on the pommel of his arming sword and waited. The daughter of Eve nodded, and the darkness receded. I will weave for you the songs of the houses of healing, she told him, and the music will put you back on the path to reunion with your brothers. But your flesh is not your own. Your soul belongs to God. Victory will cost you.
Ooh. I love it.
Oh, weird.
It's a dark, I can picture like a fantasy scene.
Yeah.
And I love how there's this announcement that there's going to have to be sacrifice.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. I'll give you what you want.
Yeah.
I'll back down. I'll give you the victory, but it's going to cost you something.
Yeah. You'll have your victory.
Yeah.
It's sort of that Moses, I ran out of space, so I couldn't include it, which sometimes is a good thing. Like typewriter one-offs kind of force you to cut off a little early.
Yeah.
When maybe you wouldn't, But I was going to make an allusion to like Moses not seeing the promised land. It's kind of that same feeling.
Yeah.
And it really was inspired by like I'm playing through Nightmare level on Diablo 2 as a paladin. And so when you get to the fourth act, you're in the I can't remember what they call it, if they call it like the Pandemonium Fortress or what, but you're in this fortress in hell. But this fortress is like held by a last few, like humans who are like clearly like champions, more. But anyways, every time you like click on the one chick character who like can, I don't remember what she does. She sells you weapons or whatever.
Okay.
But she has like this really cool voice where she's like, "Hail to you, champion," and it's like this weird ethnic, inextricable, like implacable kind of tone and accent to her voice. And I was just sitting there thinking, like out on the patio, like, man, what am I going to write about? And that line, "Hail to you, champion," kept coming to my head. And I thought, wouldn't it be cool if you had something like that, but in the context of like maybe a backstory to like Sasquatchlips and the whole Leviathan order and the Paladin order, and like maybe they've been fighting this battle for a long time.
Yeah.
And then Cameron was playing the piano.
Oh, yeah. He's awesome. Our little brother.
Yeah, dude. Our
Just
little brother
beautiful.
is so immensely talented.
He can create scenic background music for anything. He could score movies, video games.
Yeah, he's
It's
definitely
amazing.
got our dad's talent.
Yeah.
Well, and I was telling him he was playing this song that I actually had heard like 10 years before. That I was having this dream, this very like scary, almost nightmare-like dream about being underwater around this coral reef infested ruined temple deep under the ocean, and I was being chased by this octopus, this black octopus. And meanwhile, Cameron in real life is playing this song on the piano.
Nice.
And the song in my dream was overlaid with the dream, so I was hearing the song while I was having a nightmare,
Oh my gosh.
And so it was the same song that he was playing while I was writing this. I was like, Cameron, this is perfect. You don't understand how awesome this is. But
it's great.
But it just made me think about music and how, string theory and music is like sort of the essence of existence and the substrata, the fabric of reality.
Yeah.
And how like, what if there was like a healer muse who is able to sing these madrigals with angels, especially seraphim, this high order of angels, who could do something for a holy warrior priest caste to like either open up a dimensional gateway or like help realign you so that you're,
Yeah.
sort of logos
It's a great idea.
meditative.
Yeah.
And just weird. Just something weird.
Yeah, it's cool.
Weird and colorful.
So cool.
Anyways, thanks.
Well, that was awesome. Mine is a little different this time. A little different.
Yeah.
Quick background on this.
Yeah.
Not a disclaimer. I'm not doing the disclaimer.
Yeah, good.
Yesterday I went to the Frist with Rihanna.
Oh,
and
you were
some
telling me about
friends.
that. Yeah,
So I went to the Frist is the art museum in Nashville, downtown Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
The building, by the way, is super cool. If you've been there,
That's pretty neat.
it was built in the 1930s. It was built as the post office. It's this massive building right next to the old train station,
Yeah.
and it's Art Deco.
Yeah.
It's all granite. It's just gorgeous
Art
building.
Deco is cool.
Yeah. Oh, it's very cool.
Yeah.
1936, I think. Anyway,
Mhm.
it's a beautiful building that is now the art museum. So that's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Okay. And this is what came forth.
And scene.
And here we go. The colors were as bright and threatening as razor blades. The lines were simple, black outlines of strange shapes, filled with aggressive hues that contrasted with each other. The images were deformed twistings of the human body, dissected and haphazardly reconnected at random. Every single picture was supposed to be a nude woman in some lazy, seductive pose. Every one was the disturbed interpretation of an erotic, transgressive vision. He was obsessed with sex and bringing as much controversy and unique renderings of that which shocks the public sensibilities as his culture then allowed.
Oh, that's cool.
They say he was visionary, a bold and progressive artist who was misunderstood, underappreciated. I understand his work perfectly because I understand the man. I understand his broken mind.
Mm-hmm.
But a broken mind does not make an artist. Nor does understanding one make an artist.
Yeah.
It was laughable to see people squinting at the gallery walls, straining, desperately trying to understand what the artist made very simply, and to be simply comprehended and felt. Lost and degenerate souls create art that gives you a window into their filter for viewing the world.
Yeah.
The eccentric images that roll off their brushes have filtered through the corrugated sheet of depravity that allows only the dross to pass through, blocking any whisper from a wholesome muse.
Yeah.
Such is the work of Pablo Picasso, a man who used women for his own carnal pleasures, while glorifying their bodies in his art, and failed to mask his resentment towards the masculine and men.
Oh.
Consistently, he caricaturized the man as ogre-like, beastly, primitive rapists. Yet it was a self-accusation of his own behavior. Having several partners throughout his life, the final woman, who cared for him up until his death, committed suicide a decade later. And that is the real legacy of Picasso.
Wow. Beautiful. Slay that sacred cow, baby.
Yeah.
Let's barbecue it.
Sorry,
Who wants ribs?
not a fan. I looked at Picasso's work.
Yeah.
I understood it.
Yeah. Did you?
And he was
Did you know
a
that before?
defiled soul.
Did you have that inkling before you went in?
No.
See, that's so interesting because Nick and I were talking about Picasso being at the Frist last week.
Yeah.
And Nick was very clearly excited about going to see Picasso.
Yeah.
So, like, I can tell you and I don't know, I mean, I don't care anything about, Picasso.
Yeah, I didn't know anything about it. I just knew the name.
Yeah. And, I mean, we've all seen, like, some of his, his abstract paintings are very iconic, but neither Nick and I are art aficionados or art files or whatever. So, but I can tell you that, like, last week, Nick had a very palpable, excited energy about going to see Picasso at the Frisk. Like we talked about it, you mentioned it, and again, both of us are newbies when it comes
I don't
to
know anything about art,
art or anything like that. It's not our wheelhouse, and so no preconceived notions. No biases, if anything, and I know Nick's.
I'm Mr. Benefit of the doubt.
He is. Nick is Mr. Optimism. Like
absolutely.
I know there's a lot of cynicism, a lot of Irish cynicism swirling inside of him. Just like life is awful and we're all going to die. It's in bruises for everybody. But Nick was very clearly like stoked about this.
Yes, Picasso,
and so
Picasso, yes,
yeah. I mean, it's iconic, right? Like you gotta
Cubism and all that cool stuff.
Yeah.
I was not impressed. I mean, I saw a couple things that everyone has seen.
Yeah.
So I got to see the real work, and that was cool.
Yeah.
But that was like 2 things.
Yeah.
Everything else was
just brutish sexuality.
Sensual, yes.
Yeah.
And
unhealthy.
There was one period of his art that was actually pretty interesting that I liked. It was dark and there was one picture in particular that he did that I really, really, really liked, but it wasn't sexual at all. But it was still really, dark. Everything was just gross. It's like
just leaves you feeling stained.
The exhibit was the glorification, the worship of a twisted mind, and trying to make those seeping, depraved renderings,
self-loathing projections.
Like glorifying that and trying to understand it. I was like, you don't have to understand it. Here's a man who was lost, and these are the things that he fantasized about, and tried to put them out there in a way that ruffled people's feathers. And I don't know why are we glorifying this?
Well, and you can if you take a 30,000 foot view of Picasso and you see he is one of the progenitors of the whole abstract art kind of thing. Everything is very warped and distorted and strange. And and so what is an artist trying to do with something like that visually? Well, very clearly, it's not uniform, it's not realistic, it's not logical. He's very clearly trying to imprint his emotion, whatever he's feeling, onto this canvas. And it is coming out in a very transparent way, which is not healthy. Very warped, very, very you can feel the self-loathing of like, I mean, it's the same thing with all artists. That's why art is, speaking from a total layman's perspective, that really seems like that's why art is so evocative, because it is the painter trying to exercise his inner essence, whether it's his demons or his emotion or whatever, on and imprint that visually. That's why, I mean, I'm not convinced that pain is required for art, or especially good art, but I mean, there's a lot of really great art that has come from pain, and maybe that's a beauty from ashes thing. Like Van Gogh Van Gogh's a classic example. I mean, some of his paintings, his landscapes are beautiful, and we all know how tortured Van Gogh is. Now, did that inform the work, or was it good despite the work? But then you look at something really ordered and meticulous, like a Monet. Which is just a bunch of little dots until you back up and it forms, this beautiful, very orderly, civilized looking thing. Or you see something kind of wild like Dali, who I think never felt truly himself because of that whole like he had a younger brother who I think was stillborn or died during childbirth or something like that.
Like a twin?
No, this was before, and his parents like named that kid Dali or Salvador,
right?
And then they just had another boy and named him Salvador again, like that.
So
that those kind of things. Like you can kind of see, like, it's like the man.
Yeah, that's
behind
right. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So,
I like a lot of his the things I've seen of Salvador Dali have been really cool.
Yeah, they're pretty neat. They're surreal.
Yeah.
But you can tell there's that slippery feeling on reality that probably someone has when they find out that, like, oh, your parents just tried again, And I mean, are you really you? Like, you know,
Have you
it's-
seen the what's it called? It's like the Tesseract, the 4-dimensional cross.
I think so.
Chuck Missler talks about it and shows a work of Salvador Dali's, like his vision
Oh, really?
of the cross's domination over all 4 dimensions.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
man.
it's really cool. It's really cool.
Man, Chuck Missler is awesome. Nick and I have been fans of Chuck Missler for years, and he's kind of like esoteric Christian grandpa.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Heck yeah.
Like he's like your cool uncle
Yeah.
who's like, you know, yeah, well, you ever heard of the Nephilim? You know, like, you know, he was super smart.
and if you don't believe in what he's talking about, he still
Yeah.
knows way more about it than you do. He makes you be like,
Right.
well, I haven't looked into it that much,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
tell me more.
And he's got like that cool Midwestern accessibility. Like he
Yeah.
seems like he's from Ohio or something.
Seems like my
or
grandpa Lewis.
Missouri.
He seems like my grandpa Lewis.
Yeah,
He just reminds
that's
me
what
of
it
it.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is. He's like everybody's
He's-
cool grandpa.
Yeah.
You
Yeah, he's
know?
cool. He's really
Yeah,
cool.
if you like Heavenly Realms, if you like Henry Half Moon, man, go look up
Gary Wayne.
Gary Wayne, the
Yeah.
Genesis 6 conspiracy, Rob Skiba,
Yeah.
Chuck Missler. He like predates all that stuff.
Yeah.
And he was doing it for years. And what's the name of his? He's got a YouTube. His estate or whatever has a YouTube channel. He's passed away now, but
Koinonia House.
Koinonia House. It's
Yeah.
a Greek word, so
Yeah.
it defeats my Germanic tongue. But yeah, it's pretty dope.
That's awesome.
Um,
That's awesome.
so yeah, man, that's interesting that that Picasso would leave you feeling that way and kind of,
Yep.
you know, kind of have that sort of evocative reaction and insightful. You know, I
Yeah.
mean, dude, so much of liberalism, which is so often tied to artistic, you know, types, is so rooted in the projection of self-loathing.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, that's where you get white guilt from. That's
And
where
it's
you get-
totally godless.
It's so godless.
You look at any of
Yeah.
his pictures
Mm-hmm.
and you feel what he was trying to evoke.
Yeah.
You know, it's evocative. And you see what he's trying to get you to feel. You see his interpretation. You see what he's glorifying. You see the idea and the emotion.
Mhm.
And God is nowhere
Nowhere in that picture.
in his in him. There's no. It's either just ignoring it
Yeah.
or actively challenging any notion of it in
Oh,
reality. And it was sad. It was really sad.
That's the
you
thing.
know?
It doesn't
I'm
anger
left
you as
feeling
much as
like-
it just
yeah.
taxes you.
Yeah. I did feel taxed. Yeah, I did feel taxed. But some of it was really cool. But
What kind of art do you really? What kind of art refuels you? Is there any sort of visual art that you can think of off the top of your head?
not off the top of my head. There were some that were there were some of his that were really, really interesting. I don't know. I haven't been exposed enough to it because I never learned about art. It's
Yeah, me
homeschooling. I
neither.
never learned about it. But Rihanna's
Yeah.
doing a wonderful job with our kids, introducing them to,
That's good.
culture,
Yeah.
you know,
Well, that's the
music
thing,
and art.
like Jordan Peterson talks about it. You don't want to protect your kids; you want to encourage and prepare your kids.
Mhm.
So there is an aspect of like, I want you to learn how to gut a fish, not because gutting a fish is good necessarily, but because you need to learn how to do it.
Yep.
I want you to go experience this art or learn about this awful historical event, not because I think it in of itself is great, but because this is the world that you're going to be stepping into. And it's good to have an understanding and knowledge and a preparation of this. And I think that's the hard part of being a parent is figuring out when to do that, and each child is different developmentally. And some kids can handle it at 7, some kids can't handle it till they're 17, you know, and
Yeah.
that's for each parent to figure out, not for the government to figure out. But like that's so
Yeah.
it's cool to expose your kids to things that I'm not saying like expose them to things that are degenerate or destructive or sinful, but expose them to things that you don't necessarily like or encourage as an example of how godless the world can be, or how sick it can be without God, and why God is important, and and
For sure.
and there's a balancing act that has to go on with each kid for that. But
I'll tell you the art form. I'm to kind of answer that question you asked me, what type of, art kind of makes me feel inspired and better. One really cool thing about that documentary, California Typewriter, it follows, a few different people.
Yeah.
They kind of jump back and forth. One of the people it follows is a guy who finds typewriters that can't be repaired.
Oh, really?
Okay. And he collects
so
them and
sad.
he dismantles them. He
Yeah.
takes them apart piece by piece. And then he takes the pieces and he creates sculptures
Really?
of animals and faces and people.
Oh, that's cool.
And it's 100% out of typewriter parts.
Yeah.
And when I was watching it, I'm like, I'm not really an art, like visual art type of person.
Yeah.
You could see it was a beautiful art form.
Yeah.
Beautiful art
That's
form.
cool.
And his work is amazing.
Well, it's that beauty from ashes thing.
That's exactly what it is. It's Phoenix-like.
Yeah, it is very Phoenix-like.
And
Hobbs Chronicles.
Hobbs.
Coming at you, baby.
That's right. Coming next month. But it was.
I see what he did there.
For me, I think it was breathtaking.
That is really cool.
And even as much as I hate to see something I love as much as a typewriter being dismantled, if it can't be repaired and it's just going to be smelted or trashed, to take it apart piece by piece, and he doesn't rip it apart. He dismantles it and uses every individual piece. He studies charts of human anatomy and then finds pieces to match bone and muscle, and it's awesome. It's so good. I just loved it. I mean, that type of art form to me, that was really great.
That is really cool.
Really great.
Anytime you're repurposing something for a greater cause, it's like the end result. What is that phrase? The whole is better than the sum of its parts. Is that the expression?
The whole is greater than the sum of its parts.
And that's what art aspires to, is when it's like it is something aiming for it's something mundane and terrestrial aiming for the numinous. That's art.
Mm-hmm.
That's what separates as far as writing goes, an artist from a hack.
Mm-hmm.
In many ways. It's like you can either serve passion or you can serve a paycheck.
Yeah.
You can either aspire to the numinous, or you can just paint by numbers, hoping, to appease to, the empty calorie devouring, dregs. And sometimes, we all slum it a little bit, whatever, but as an artist, I think about, what kind of art really does it for me. And obviously, Gothic architecture is beautiful.
Yes, yeah.
Cameron has really gotten into studying and designing, with wireframe computer programs, Baroque architecture.
Oh, neat.
And dude, Baroque architecture it's so cool. Adam, you guys got a lot of Baroque architecture, obviously, in Europe, and man, it's so cool. It's kind of got that, I really like that Byzantine look to things, that sort of melding of middle of Egyptian and Greek, with a little bit of that Orthodox kind of look, that blues and and green and yellows and reds and silver and gold and sort of that melding of Middle Eastern and Western art. But Baroque, man, is really neat. It's got this fancy flourish to Gothic, In fact, I did something like that in Heavenly Realms with Lorenar, which is a city in the lower realm, and it's a city made entirely out of stone. And it sort of harkens back to the Western Empire, which is this godless empire, that the angels first built, this fallen civilization Atlantis. And Lorenar, the architecture was designed by one of the main bad guys, Mazarel, who is persona non grata with Michael. He's not, but he's a superintendent, and he has a team of construction guys, his Teamsters. And there's a Teamster union, just rough and tumble, kind of hard nosed, low brow, heavy brow kind of guys, And but they really excelled in brutish architecture, which is an actual type of architecture, brutish architecture, and it is, or brutalism, I think is what it's called. And it is a very distinctive style. It's like Gothic, but without any of the really precise angular flourish.
Okay.
And so, anyways, it's too much order and not enough artistic chaos. It's too orderly, and it just looks very simple and then very brutal, you know. But the opposite reaction that I have to your Picasso, as far as really good art, is I am fascinated with and have been for 20 years now. I absolutely love Gustave Doré. Gustave
Not
Doré
familiar.
wood engravings. If you ever see any pictures of like Paradise Lost,
Let's take a look.
or yeah,
How do you
look
spell
up,
it? How do you spell it?
Gustave, Gustave, and then Doré, Dore.
Yeah.
Got a little accent on the E, but
This guy.
so he did a lot of stuff
Interesting.
for.
Let's do little Google images here.
He did a
We'll
lot of
share our
stuff
screen.
for John Milton's Paradise Lost. He did a lot of stuff for let's see, what was the other one? Dante's Inferno. And then he did some other stuff, like the Empyrean.
Oh yeah.
So
Okay.
all of this is acid. If I remember correctly,
Let's do this.
someone can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but all of this is acid etched wood engravings.
Oh, interesting.
And it's incredibly precise and very detailed and nuanced, and it's intricate and it's beautiful, and it really shows a reverence, a logos-driven reverence for God that I really, really like. He did some more whimsical stuff, like like Aesop's Fables, but look at the detail.
Puss in
on
Boots.
that. Yeah,
Check
Puss
it
in
out.
Boots, and
Oh yeah, Adam and Eve cast out of the garden.
yeah.
Oh yeah, this is whoa.
Isn't that cool? That's from that should be from Paradise Lost also. But then
Oh, I'm gonna go back.
go to the one there's Michael casting. Yep, that guy. Yep, that's really cool.
There we go.
So that's Michael casting out Lucifer and the fallen angels.
Yep.
It just there's a real reverence, I think, and a humility to his work. And I don't know anything about Gustave Doré. I never read any biographies about him or anything.
Wow, look at that. Dang.
There's immense detail there that
Harpies.
yeah. He did some Greek mythology stuff.
Wow.
He did one of Nimrod, the hunter. So, in fact, actually, I went through and I found a bunch of pictures of Gustave Doré artwork that I originally had planned as the covers for the Heavenly Realms novels. But it turns out someone else already did that with like the only other angel book ever written about like the fall of Lucifer and everything. The only other novel ever written. Someone already stole my idea for that. So, or didn't steal, they just did it before me and I didn't know about it. So let's see, what does Adam say?
Adam says, let's go back to us here.
There's an old house which is near me that looks amazing. Took a lot of inspiration from ancient. Oh, in the Pantheon. That's cool.
Ooh, nice.
One thing that's really cool about Nashville is we have a Parthenon replica in downtown Nashville. It's
He
really
sent
neat.
me a picture of here. Check that out.
Oh, dude, that's cool. Yeah,
Come on now.
that's awesome.
I wonder if I can. It won't.
Yeah, it won't go sideways.
It won't go sideways. On
Dude,
me.
that is killer.
Wow,
though.
fantastic.
Adam, that's awesome.
That's cool. I'll
Yeah.
put it up to the camera here.
Oh,
little. Sorry,
focus.
little focus. Yeah. That's okay.
Maybe a bit more bullet, and you'll get the right angle.
Yeah. Well, we'll just do it like this. Listen, I want to share this with everyone. This is really cool. It's beautiful.
Yeah,
I'll
we'll
pull it up
close
here.
We're getting all fancy now on you guys. You
Yeah.
know, it used to be just us rambling. Now we're like steering into technology.
We want-
instead of away from it. You know.
We want to share with people for sure.
Yeah.
And now we have the ability to do it. Maybe not the skill set, but we're working on that part. Let's just open her up. There we go.
Oh, that's awesome.
There we go. Now let me
Wow.
share that. Here we go. If you can
Look at the.
see that there. See that there? Let's see.
There it is.
There it is.
All right.
And you can see our conversation in the background. But more importantly, look at the picture.
You can see that thing. Dude, that
Wow.
is cool.
That is awesome. That's a house? I mean, dang.
Man.
I could write there.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. no
That's my
kidding.
writing cabin.
I thought
That's
I
my
wanted
cottage.
I thought I wanted a bungalow on the beach. I think I'll take that instead.
That'd be awesome.
Nah, I have to take a bungalow.
Can you imagine having just a little place?
Yeah.
Just a little cabin, shack,
Yeah.
outhouse.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
That's
anything.
the dream, baby.
Just anything.
That's the
I
dream.
mean, we could build one.
Yeah. offload a bunch of guns.
I mean, we have this room that's great. You know, I work in
Mhm.
here. We do our videos and stuff in here. But like to have a writing room, I have a little shed in the back.
yeah.
And now I'm thinking, why
Yeah.
didn't I build like a little wooden
Yeah.
air conditioned shack to write in?
Yeah.
Now I'm starting to think about it.
Well,
yeah, you don't have to run electricity to it because you
No.
can use a typewriter.
Yeah, you can just use a typewriter.
Oh my gosh!
See, that's my end goal. I'm telling you, my end goal, people, is to be like a couple miles from the beach in Florida with just like a bungalow with plumbing and electricity and no internet and just me and my books and my guns and my typewriter. And that's it. That's how I ride out
yeah,
my winter years, baby.
yeah.
If I could do that right now, if I could do that today,
Yes.
you know, and I'd pay my marketing manager to just handle all my royalties and all my stuff, you know, and it's sort of like Ray Thacker, Dad's
Yeah.
friend.
Yeah.
Down in Cartersville, Georgia, there is an event planner named Ray Thacker who, I mean,
He owns an antebellum mansion
yeah,
in downtown Cartersville.
Georgia. Yeah, and no cell phone. Only in the past couple years got an email address and a computer. You know, he doesn't do any of that stuff.
No,
I mean, he's as
none of
off
it.
the grid as it gets, and he stays so busy. No answering machine. That was
Mhm.
a big deal.
Nothing.
He had no answering machine.
His
so
phone
like,
is attached to his wall and has
Yeah.
a cord.
yeah, old school baby. He's like 70.
Doesn't even do a wireless phone.
Yeah, no, doesn't even do a wireless phone.
And
so,
the dude is healthy as a horse.
He is.
Yeah.
Super healthy. Takes care of himself.
Ray Thacker, man. He's awesome.
And he stays extremely busy. And it's like, dude, you can make that life work for you.
Yeah.
If you build enough of a reputation, you know, it's awesome. Let's see. It's called Ickworth House. Ickworth House. It
Ickworth.
is now owned by the National Trust. Yeah, that's awesome, Adam.
That's great.
That
I'm
is
so glad they
super cool.
preserved that.
That's a beautiful thing about England, man. And like the thing that makes it worth going there is while it seems like, and Adam, you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but it seems like so much of English people have lost their British culture. You know,
Well, and I think they've been, in a way,
they've been sabotaged.
it's been sabotaged, but kind of forced to, in a way. I don't
Oh,
know.
yeah.
I don't know if that's right. It seems like they've been forced to kind of step away. From, anyway, I love that. I love that England tries to preserve its history.
Yeah,
You know, you got 1,000 years,
Yeah.
1,000 years of kings,
yeah, at
of
least.
monarchs that you can trace.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very, very rich.
Well, and that's the beautiful thing, and that is so different than America. You know, as we are so new comparatively speaking, but so much of British culture, you know, has been stripped from them over the past 15, 20 years.
Oh, yeah, 50 years probably.
Yeah, probably 50 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, even back in the Cold War, they still had like a really cool British aesthetic, you know, tweed and you know, the telephone boxes.
Love that tweed.
Yeah. Love that tweed, baby.
Give me some.
You know,
Give me
tea
some
time, but even tea time went away after a while. But what you guys have that really is profoundly beautiful is you have your architecture, you know.
Mhm.
You have your architecture, you have your castles,
castles, yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
also iconic.
Yeah.
And it's really cool,
Yeah.
you know. And that, I mean, they'll have to blow that up to take it away.
Just
you
for
know?
everyone watching, Adam says yes in a lot of ways. You are correct. So
Yeah.
thank you. I just wanted people to see that I was right about something. I just wanted people to see that.
Every now and
I
then.
appreciate
Yeah,
that.
every now
because
and
it
then.
seems that's the charm. I mean,
Yeah.
I want to go there. We're gonna come someday. We are gonna come and
Yeah.
we're gonna visit the UK.
Dude,
I
I
wanna
would
see it.
love to hang out with Adam. It
Yeah.
would be so
Yeah, it'd be
cool,
awesome.
you know.
That'd be awesome. It can happen.
Show up with
Do I spend money on the writing cottage or do I spend money on visiting Adam?
You
I
can do
think
both.
I think I need to visit Adam first, but I don't know. We'll see.
Well, visiting Adam
depends.
is an investment in
Well, here's
your
the thing.
future that prepares you to gather the royalties to afford the writing college.
But I don't have to wear a mask in the writing shack.
That's true. No mask. We'll wait until this mask
We'll
thing
see.
blows over. Yeah.
It would be awesome.
Yeah.
Love to visit. That'd be so great.
I know. Or we could get Adam over here, but we don't have castles over here, Adam. So you know,
No.
we might be a little underwhelmed. You know, we do have bourbon though. So
We do.
yeah. Just saying.
All right. Last thing.
Yeah.
What are you working on?
Yeah. Okay. So you want to skip questions for this week? We'll do questions maybe next week.
Oh, questions. Yeah, let's
I know.
do. Let's
Yeah.
skip.
We're at 2 hours. So let's see. I am in the thick of editing Wayfarers. That's going really well. I'll tell you a funny thing. I made the mistake of Ural is a problematic character in that he's super cool, but he's in Empyrean. He's in Empyrean Falling, the published version. He's also in Grey Aegis.
Yep.
I can't remember if he's in Sturm und Drang. I don't really think there was much of a place for him. Adam, you can correct me if I'm wrong if he is. I don't think he is, though. I don't even know my own books anymore. Anyways, Ural was a character that, and here's a glimpse into the writing process. Ural was a character that was invented in the 6th novel.
Okay, wow.
Yeah, so he was a late-to-the-game creation.
Okay.
That when I had relatively finished the series, Wayfarers being the only book that wasn't finished, even though it was the 5th book in the series, it kind of, being in a side story, you didn't have to finish it. Anyways, it was Ural was created for Primus Illuminati, and I don't even remember, he was part of a Guardian squad at the time, so he probably in my head instinctively was a cherub. Because cherubim typically are guardians, warriors, And then when I started writing after that, when I started writing Wayfarers as this side project, I thought Ural would make a great mentor, foil, friend character to Melfax.
Okay.
And Wayfarers slowly sort of turned into this homage to the Seraphim, because the Seraphim were a whole group of angels that I never really understood because they're not like me. I gravitate towards the cherubim.
Yeah.
So Wayfarers really is this love letter to the Seraphim.
Oh.
And Melfax is a cherub. And then Ural, I was like, oh, let's put Ural in here because he's a really cool character. And they have this great moment in Primus Illuminati that I really loved. But I was like, let's use him and let's show the backstory of him and Melfax becoming friends. And so I did that and then abandoned the project for 10 years, went back and redid Empyrean Falling. All this to say, I think I'd list Ural in all of the other books as a cherub, but he's not. He's a seraph. So in the process of editing Wayfarers, I have figured out, I have it on my dry erase board.
So you're going to have to start all over, Adam.
Dude.
Back to book
right.
1.
Yeah,
back to book 1.
All the way back to the
dude.
beginning. So, and this is one of the questions that we had for, he's not in Sturm und Drang. I didn't think he was. There's no place for him in Sturm und Drang. But this is one of the questions that I had fielded to Nick as far as possible topics was if you could impart any wisdom to new writers, what would it be? And honestly, my answer to that is if you're going to write a series, write the whole series first before you publish any of it.
Yeah.
Finish it. Finish the whole series. And I'm hypocritical for saying that. Nick and I both did not do that. I mean, I don't know of any writer who's ever done that. But honestly, there are things that I figured out on the back end that it was a good thing that I couldn't get published 10 years ago because I would have made a lot of mistakes. Having those books out there at the time, I was afforded the luxury of being able to go back and redo these other books, in preparation for that, knowing where the series ended, knowing what characters were going to be there. So I could front load them. I could front load them a little bit better in the revision process of those first few books that you don't get the luxury of on the back end.
Yeah.
Ural being one of them, but I still screwed it up.
Yeah. That was the challenge of the Hoppus Chronicles.
Really?
Is that not only did I have to write a backstory that was consistent with the timepiece and the other books in the series.
Yeah.
But I had to do it using characters and events that 12 children gave me.
Right. Was it a bit
They've all read the timepiece and they all had their own idea of what the backstory of Hoppus should be with characters and things.
Yeah.
So I had to take that and I had to write it and make sure none of it was inconsistent with any of the other books.
Just a bit like herding grasshoppers.
It was
Herding
at first.
Yeah.
But after I got it all written out in my notebook, I have a notebook that I wrote every child's idea on and realized this can't happen till this happens, till this happens, till this happens. I would circle the name that I would
like
use.
what I did with Triptych Codex.
Yeah, yeah.
Same thing.
And so, but that was really, really hard. It was really hard. And kind of, there are, a lot of self-published authors that do rapid release. They launch, they publish one book to a big audience that they built up, And then 30 days later, or sometimes 2 weeks later, they push publish on book 2, and a week later publish on book 3. Just publish. They have to have the whole thing written and airtight,
right, yeah.
so that
Yeah.
they're whale readers. The people who read a lot, as soon as they're done, they need the next thing.
Oh, right.
They read so
Sort of like
much, so
binge
fast.
watchers on Netflix.
They're binge readers.
Yeah.
You know, and it's all they do. It's just binge read series, and they're trying to tap into that market. So they do a they write the entire series and they rapid release to that.
So there are authors who do that.
There are, but not in my genre.
No, that's a
Not
little
in my
fast
genre.
though.
Yeah.
I mean, you really want to theoretically, at least in my genre, you don't want to publish more than like 2 or 3 a year. Not really more than 2 a year.
Mm.
You kind of want to keep it at 2. That really is probably the best way to. You could do a few more or a couple more maybe with middle grade fiction.
Yeah. I probably could. I mean, I'm not going to write multiple books and then publish them. I publish them, I go.
Yeah.
You know, I want to get them out.
It's so
there.
hard not to.
I know it's so hard to have a book. You have the cover. It's edited.
It's all done.
Uploaded to KDP.
Mhm.
To not hit publish, even though I sometimes think I should just not hit publish. I should do some marketing, do some promotion, and then I can't help myself.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I just want to get it out there.
Well, you know what? I did the same thing with that unabridged edition, that 777-page. Dude, it's going to be a year before that comes out. I have so much that I want to tinker with and edit it and play around with all these different things for it, you know?
Yeah, well, you have other books to write, too.
And I have other books to write. Yeah, it's not on the priority list.
Roman
Coke.
Roman Coke.
Uh-huh. Yeah, we're working on it. You know,
Yeah. French mythology, Roman Coke, and the Sasquatch lips.
Yeah.
Coming in April?
Sure. Yeah. Sure.
No.
Yeah. Heavenly Realms Wayfarers.
Do you think coming in 2021, or do you think it might be?
It'll be 2021. Yeah.
Think before holidays, maybe?
That's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping
great gift for Bigfoot aficionados.
I'm hoping October. I'm hoping
perfect. Dude.
Halloween release, maybe, you know.
Perfect.
It gives enough time to write it, edit it, get a cover, you know, and figure out, you know, what to do with it. So,
dude, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I'm hoping to get Wayfarers done editing, which, by the way, Adam, the snag I hit with Ural does not affect Wayfarers until maybe a couple of chapters towards the end, where I think I had that issue. But I do have to go back and like make sure in Empyrean Falling that I don't reference him as a cherub, because he is a seraph, which it makes total sense. And I knew it. I had that inkling in the back of my brain when I remember writing that and looking it up in Primus Illuminati. Like, wait, is he a cherub or a seraph? I got a 50-50 shot at this. I don't know. And I thought I read something that referenced Ural and it referenced a cherub. And I thought, oh, okay, he's a cherub. Well, that makes sense because everybody's a cherub who's cool in my books, you know. But turns out, no, I was dumb. I was wrong. He's a seraph. So I got to go back and fix that. But it shouldn't affect the timeline of editing. So, Taco
swag.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, well, let's get to work then. Yeah.
I wonder if that's taco swag. I wonder if that is swag as in like promotional swag.
I don't know. You got tacos?
Yep.
Because we're going to get Mexican after this.
If you get a taco with like the Travelers League logo stamped into the side of the shell, the tortilla shell.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah, taco swag? Hit us up.
Yes, hit us up. Absolutely.
we love tacos. You know, it's so funny. I went for a doctor's appointment on Tuesday, and I was vitamin B12 deficient, so they gave me like some B12 shots. You know, they got me on that regimen. And at one point, the doctor asked me, great bedside manner, very sweet, you know, a great guy, very very friendly. He was like, "No, are you by chance vegetarian or vegan?" You know, I laughed. I was like, "Doc, look at me. Do I look vegetarian to you?
Is like, this the physique?
Yeah, of a vegetarian? Is this the body of a vegan? You know, I don't have a sniffle, and I'm clearly carrying, a spare tire. Like,
sniffle. That's great. Oh, we better get going. Our camera's dying. Okay. All right, we gotta go.
Okay, so updates. Tarsnecros.com has got the special edition on pre-order. Check that out.
Yep.
Nick's working on the Hoppus Chronicles.
Yep.
Adam, we love you. Taco Swag. Message us. Hit us up. I don't know what this is, but I'm all about it.
Yep.
Adam Burrell on ACX, Heavenly Realms on Amazon, Travelers League, Henry Half Moon for Nick Goss on Amazon. So, okay. We have burnt out the battery, baby.
We burnt the battery out in the phone. In the camera. It's awesome. All right. We love you guys. We'll see you next week.